All right, so Character Art Podcast, episode 11. I think we failed to mention that we follow an HBO Game of Thrones season kind of thing. So basically you guys get like 10 episodes and you wait like a year, maybe 2 years. I don't know. We'll see.
It's like a Game of Thrones, the book.
Right.
It's just like we're George R.R. Martin. We just do it whenever we feel like.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So, but they're always good. So, I mean, not to like pat all four backs at the same time, but I think they're pretty solid. We can easily be the Game of Thrones equivalent of character art podcasts. And I think we're the only ones. So that's good. So, as always, me, Troy, Lena, and a returning, possibly my favorite person in the world, Josh.
Thanks, man.
Joshua Singh. Dude.
There you go.
Hey.
Interestingly, with like the round of applause, since we haven't done this in a year, I had to go back and like look at all of the all the episodes to be like, what the fuck are we talking about? And I've been so lazy, I haven't checked any of the email about the podcast. So there's like questions and comments and shit like that on like older episodes, and I'm like, all right, you know. But anyway, the last time we had Josh on was during the Retrogasm finals.
That was like 2 years ago,
man. Yeah.
That was like that was fall 2015.
Dude, you've had 3 kids since then, Josh.
Pretty much, jeez.
Yeah, but it was a long time ago, and we did like the live round of applause for you winning, and we've done it now. So every time you've been on, twice, you create a round of applause / drum roll. So
dude, awesome.
So far you're the only. Yeah, you're the only one so far.
Sweet. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I guess just like jumping into it, since it's been a year, and I mean, a lot of things have changed. I mean, do you guys want to give like an update on like what's happening?
Yeah, I think everybody deserves an update because holy shit, like, I mean, it's been a while since the last podcast. Like, Gavin, what have you been up to?
Well, I mean, I can't remember like. Fuck, dude, I can't remember when we announced Spider-Man. I think we had it announced since one of the episodes, but I mean that's been like my life lately is like working on like Spider-Man and doing like all the shit like building up to release, and yeah, I've been like working on my own on like a side like Unreal project, like trying to get I guess more comfortable, get my head around like coding and like visual scripting and stuff like that, trying to learn the other disciplines so I can weaponize information and safely talk shit, knowing what I'm talking about, you know?
That looks great, by the way, man. That project is, I'm fucking excited, dude. I'm one of the people who are following and just like, dude, when's the next update, man? When
Thanks,
can
dude.
I play this?
Yeah. No, it's fun. It's been, I mean, it's different. I mean, I think I've always had like an interest in like other things, right? Like game design has always been like a thing that I'm definitely interested in, how that works and how, like how you create like mechanics in a game, how you make something actually fun, things like that. And and like the coding stuff is just kind of adding gas in the tank, like making things work and putting it together. So it's been crazy. And I mean, I guess as like all of you can probably relate to, like I've been doing character art and like art for like so long that learning something that isn't art based is like this crazy like fucking like a steroid injection or something like that. It's like I feel like a caveman just like beating rocks together. And when I figure it out, like it's awesome. You know what I mean? 'Cause like now it's I mean I've got a lot of shit to learn for like the art stuff, but all of us are kind of at the point where it's like, well, I'm learning like a new trick on something that I'm doing, or I'm learning like a new way of like handling like a problem that I've already done before and things like that. But for me, dude, it's like I'm learning how to like walk again. Like I'm learning like all of these things that I never had any grasp of ever. So yeah, it's been a cool learning experience for me, that's for sure. But other than that, awesome. Spider-Man. It's been Spider-Man.
Yeah. Looks good though, man. Looks good. You should be proud. You should be proud.
Dude, I'm like,
that's like the dream project, right?
Oh, for me, yeah, dude. I'm beside myself. Like I I mean, Spidey's like a childhood hero for me, and yeah, man, when I joined Insomniac, I had no fucking idea that I would ever get to work on a Marvel title.
It looks like you guys are making like the definitive Spider-Man game. Like,
yeah, that's the hope.
It's awesome.
Oh yeah, it looks way better than, of course it does. But I remember playing Spider-Man on the like PS2 a long time ago. And from what I remember, it wasn't too good. So the new one looks amazing.
Dude, I played Spider-Man on the Sega Genesis, so. But,
we can't top that though. I mean, that's like that was a 32-bit graphics console.
I think I even had Spider-Man on the Game Boy.
Oh, really?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
It's been a time.
I didn't even know that was on the Game Boy.
My mom would always buy me like anything I wanted.
Oh. Sorry.
What? So Lena's actually been training her harpsichord skills while she's been away. It's been a year.
She's given up game art and she's going into the harpsichord
yeah.
game.
Yeah, exactly.
I missed all of that. Are we joking about things? Sorry.
Yeah, we're making
No.
that sound.
Oh no! So we got this new. We're trying to be better, since we work from home, about scheduling things appropriately, giving enough time for it. And Troy made me put the volume on maximum, so that's what that was.
I'm going deaf, man. I'm gonna need hearing aids soon. That's the age I'm getting to. Crank that shit.
Yeah, you got to schedule an appointment to get hearing aids, but you just got to make it really loud.
So, Lena and John, what have you guys been up to, man? The last podcast.
Dude, yeah. I think the last podcast I was still at Weta Workshop, right? I think I was still there, but I left since then. So that was the first big thing. We kind of like officially started steamrolling on our own business. Got all that kind of set up. Yeah, man, we've just been in like figure production pipeline mode since then. It's been really tough. I think in a lot of ways it's similar to what you were saying, dude. It's this whole other beast that we've really kind of just started learning about and we know nothing about, and we've already learned so many harsh lessons along the way, man. Like just in the last kind of like 8 or 9 months from doing this, there's been some epic fails. But there's also been some really cool things that have happened. So yeah, man. And aside from the iHas toys kind of like epicness, we've been we got really kind of like punched in the balls at on Christmas Day last year when we got told we had to move and real urgently. So that kind of occupied us for a couple months. And
you guys are like out of commission completely, right? Like you had like dial up or some shit. Yeah, you're speaking through cans and wires or something.
Totally.
Yeah, dude. That's exactly it. We were on like fucking dial-up internet for like a month, but now we've got fucking Uber internet, so it's good.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's all worked out in the end, but it's been a long kind of like hard couple of hard man. Where is my head at,
dude? Yeah. I mean, it sounds like everybody's been trying something new. Like, who was I talking to? I think I was talking to Adam Brummel. Over at so he's I don't know what he does over there. He's not lead artist. He's on Astroneer, right?
I just assumed he was like he had a title like Big Cheese or like Head Honcho or
I don't think he's like lead artist, but he's like he's like Head Honcho something or other. But we were talking because we're old friends, and we're just like, holy cow, dude! Everybody is getting older, and everybody is trying new things. Like we. I don't want to get like too far into this, but we're sort of at the age where we're the ones who are doing the thing. Like, I remember so I'm coming up on 40 pretty soon, man. Like, yeah.
I'm a wee baby.
I'm close to being a 40-year-old man. Like, what? Like, what the hell?
What happened?
I know, but like at the same time, it's like, holy shit, I'm like, you're exactly where you thought you would be, like doing a thing, like you're making the thing. You're no longer the one who's being told to make a thing. You're the one who's deciding to make the thing. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that everybody, once you get to a certain phase in your career, you get that itch, right? You get that itch where you're like, dude, what's my legacy? Like, what's like when I look back at my career, like, am I just going to have like a pile of League of Legends skins that I never got credited for because my company doesn't believe in crediting me? Like, what's up, Riot? I'm still looking for the credits page on League of Legends. It hasn't happened yet. They don't believe in credits.
I think you'll probably get like a special thanks or something.
Whatever. I got
like
my
on the side secretly.
No, just weird silence. Okay. Oh, that's cool.
Riot hooked me up. So they gave me. I don't need credits. They gave me that. They gave me that stock option. Goodness.
And there's your credit.
There's my real credit.
Yeah.
They gave me that 10-cent money. But yeah, we can. I mean, we can segue into what I've been doing for the past year.
Sure. Yeah.
So Riot, like, so, dude, okay, so I joined Riot Games, and back in 2011-ish, I think, and they were such a small company, like they were just hitting their growth mode, and they paid me a nice salary, but then they also gave me all these like stock options, right? And as we all know in the video game industry, that means nothing. Because, like, that usually, like 98% of the time, 99.9% of the time when a company gives you stock, unless you work at EA or something that's publicly traded, it's really not worth anything. Especially if you're working at a place that's like independent, not publicly traded. And so I was like, thanks, Riot. That's a nice gesture, thanks for the imaginary Riot bucks, And then, over the years, they were like, hey, here's a raise and here's a little more stock, here. And I'm like, hey, thanks, man. Appreciate it. Wink, but I like the money better, but I'll take the Riot bucks too, right? And then all of a sudden, Tencent, if you don't know who Tencent is, they are a huge Chinese conglomerate of video game and digital entertainment that serves China. Which were also part owners, like they owned a huge chunk of Riot stock. In 2015, they were like, yo, Riot, we're going to buy you. And Riot was like, I don't want to get into the particulars, but Riot got sold, or Tencent acquired Riot Games. And all of my Riot stock became Tencent stock. And Tencent is publicly traded on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. And then Josh Singh found himself with a grip of cash and was like, what are we going to do now? And it was an amazing financial windfall for me. And as you know, I have a family, and I only have 4 kids, Gavin.
I just keep saying a random number, like assuming that it's right. I think he has 86 kids. I don't know.
86 kids, all from the same mom. She's
yeah.
She's amazing.
I've met her. I'm never ever going to ever question her awesomeness. It's a solid family of 88 people.
Yeah, we just dropped like what's it, like quintuplets, like crazy. That's all we do. But anyway, so we're like, what's the next step, right? What's the next step? It's like, holy cow, we have money to make an exit now. We have money to get out of the rat race. We have money to do so. I had because that's always the thing. It's like, when you're single, you can maybe save up your money and you can save up maybe 20-30 grand, move back in your mom's house and live off that while you tinker on your thing, right? The thing that's going to be yours, right? But when you're when you got a family and you got like health, you need health insurance and you got to pay dentist bills and and you got piano recitals and blah blah blah. It's like you're in the grind, bro. Like you are chained to that company. And here I was, like now being freed. I had maybe like, it was a nice exit. And I was like, I have money. So now what am I going to do? So we were like, do you want to buy a house? Me and my wife were like, we got to buy a house. So we're like, all right, do you want to stay in Irvine and buy a house? And then, but if we bought a house in Irvine, Orange County, that would have like wiped all the money. All the money would be gone. And I'd still have to be working for Riot or someone. I'd still be working for someone. and I think I've said this quote before, but you guys know Paul Richards, right? Paul Richards says I came up with this. I think he came up with this, but the saying was, "Dude, you gotta steal the throne or make your own, bro." Like, so that's been like my mantra. It's like, yo, you either gotta steal the throne, meaning you rise up through the company, and you become, executive whatnot by your 20 years of working there. If your company's cool enough to keep you around for 20 years. And if you're cool enough to weather the storms of political 20 years within whatever company you're at, some people do it, right? You see these people rise up through their companies and they become executive dudes. Like, oh, he started out in the mailroom and now he's executive, blah, blah, blah. Like, it still happens, right? Or you go out and you make your own, right? You make your own throne, which is, you go to your basement, you go to your workshop, and you hammer out this little thing that you think is completely yours, that people, that's all yours, and you think people might like it. So that's what I was gonna do. I was done trying to steal the throne. It's just too much. Like, that's not my bag. So we were like, okay, I don't want to work for anybody. We want to buy a house. So we moved back to our hometown in St. George, Utah, which is where me and my wife both kind of grew up. I moved here when I was like in 9th grade. So, and my wife had lived here since she was a kid. So we knew people here. Like, moving back to moving back to a small town where people know you. Like, we hadn't been here for 15 years, and it was really weird that people like knew who we were. They still remembered us, but we didn't remember them. But like, there's some really nice perks. Right? It's a small town. There's like no good food. It's like the Applebee's and like, there's some nice little spots. But what it's lacking in culture, you get in familiarity.
Dude,
like.
I remember talking to you at GDC about your move and like where you're living, and it sounds like a paradise to me, like based on like my contrast from like living in LA to that. Dude, it's like, fuck, man, strolling into Applebee's like a fucking king. That sounds great. Are you kidding me? I can't get a seat anywhere in this fucking town.
That's really what it is, though, man. Like, you roll up in these middle America towns with that like California salary type money, and you can live like a king. Like, no joke, dude. You can, like, we bought a house, and I'm like, okay, what's next? What's next for Josh? I was like, maybe I'm gonna be like Jon Troy and like start some action figures, or just kind of like dabble in that, buy a 3D printer and dabble in making molds. Or maybe I'll write a little book, or maybe I'll do like a Mark Brunet cube brush thing and just sort of make a tutorial empire and sort of like do that. Like, what the goal being, how do I take the skills and the years of experience that I have and monetize that for me? And because I've made money for Riot, I've made money for Blizzard, I've made money for all these for all these other guys, and they're strolling off in their like Bugattis, and they're living in their huge homes in Malibu, and I'm just still Josh Singh, paying rent in Irvine, California. Like, how do I like get my skills to work for me and not have to, how do I become that guy? And to where I can make something for me and have it pay off. So that was what I was doing. We moved out here, man, and I was just kind of twiddling my thumbs, and I was really actually enjoying it. I was just playing with my kids and living that post Beatles John Lennon life where he just eats like bacon sandwiches and like plays guitar with his kids. Like there was that stage that John Lennon had. Like, I was doing that. I'm just like swimming with my kids and goofing off and taking my wife on trips for a while, and but then that itch comes back, right? You're like, I got to do something. I got to make something. I can't just sit on my ass. And then we all have you guys know Brian Parnell, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Brian Parnell and I are still old friends from the Iron Lore days. We worked at Iron Lore on a game called Titan Quest, and we're still really good friends. And he knew that I was sort of just sitting on my ass, and he's like, hey, dude, do you want to be art director on a fighting game that's VC funded? I was like, dude, you just said like the 3 magic phrases. Like, I've always wanted to work on a fighting game. I've always wanted to be an art director on something like that. And we can get into that because I don't think I really knew what it entailed to be an art director. And then also VC funded, right? So it's like, it's got funded. It's not like a, we'll pay you an exposure type deal. So he introduced me to the guys that are doing it. It was these guys called Wavedash Games, right? And I was like, okay, Wavedash Games, like, who are you? And they introduced me to, it was just like 3 dudes. It was just 3 guys, and they were just hustling. They had already been hustling for like a year and had raised some money, and they were working on a little fighting game. that was in the vein of Smash Brothers Melee. So this one guy, Jason Rice, he's the general manager and creative director. He lives in up north, and he was passing through my town on his way to EVO, which is this big, huge fighting game convention. I don't know if you guys know what EVO is, but it's like FGC stuff, right? There's like Street Fighter tournaments and Mortal Kombat X tournaments and Guilty Gear and all. And it's awesome. It's in the Mandalay Bay Hotel, and I was like, I'm used to like the League of Legends scene, that that was my introduction into esports, and I got to see how League of Legends esports grew from this little thing to this like massive phenomenon, right? Where like Imagine Dragons is playing in South Korea. It's like, what? And so I went to this thing. I went to EVO, and people are like having a great time, and they're playing, Mortal Kombat, and they're all these beautiful games are all in HD, right? And then, but they're like, Josh, we want you to really pay attention to the Super Smash Brothers Melee event. And I was like, okay, because they're kind of schooling me so I joined them in EVO, by the way. So they said, come to EVO, we'll get you a ticket and we'll hang out. I said, okay, cool. I wasn't doing anything. Vegas is only an hour and a half away from my house, so I just drove to Vegas, and I hung out with them. And they're like, hey, check this out. We really want you to be there for the Smash Brothers Melee event, because that's kind of where our game is gonna be someday. And I'm like, okay. And so they're like, so the announcer's like, yo, y'all ready for some Super Smash Brothers Melee? And everyone's like, yeah. It's like 20,000 people just losing. And then like, okay, 1 second, as the AV crew like disables all the HD hookups and hooks in these old ass Game Cubes, and they roll out a CRT television and a few hotel chairs, and I'm like, what the hell? It's all low res GameCube 2002 graphics, but they like love it, right? There's this guy playing. I think his name was Hungrybox. I don't know his real name. His code name is Hungrybox. They all have their super cool code names like Faker and whatever. So Hungrybox is going up against this guy named Armada, right? And they're giving me all this backstory, like there's this drama and rivalry, and I'm just like, and I'm totally into it, right? I'm just like,
it's like pro wrestling at that point.
Kind of.
You're like tearing open your Armada Mania shirt and shit.
Yeah, my boy Armada. It's like, yo, give him the Armada arm lock. He's like,
yeah.
The Hungrybox is opening his patented leg drop. He's doing the anyway. But yeah, I mean the it sort of had that vibe, right? Where it's different. League of Legends has like the teams, right? And everybody in the team is kind of like, they try to ascribe like a personality based on, the sort of role they play. It's like, he's the jungler, he's the support, he's the ADC, blah, blah, he plays top. And so they try to like play that sort of like role into each other in their personality. But fighting game dudes and like the melee dudes, they're solo. It's just like, they're like all me. They're like, yo, this is all me. I got nobody. But they're all like Rocky, they got that boxing, that sort of chip on their social. They're like, they're boxers, right? Like, they're like, yo, man, I've been training in West Philadelphia, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, they're just hardcore like that. And when they rise up, it's usually because they've just been like dedicated to this. So anyway, these guys are playing Super Smash Brothers Melee. And I played Super Smash Brothers, like, with my son, and I'm just like, Super Smash Brothers, you smash the buttons and you do the thing, and like I didn't know that there's like this entire level of technical ability, and like the people, the community of that game have like created new moves by like essentially breaking their fingers. I don't want to say that, but they do this thing called wave dashing, which is where Wavedash got his game, which is Nintendo never intended that to be a thing, but they made it a thing. It's a button combination, and it adds to the competitive nature of the game. So they're doing like all these they're doing all these like hardcore technical moves that Nintendo never intended for this game to do. And on the surface level, you're just like, oh, it's King of the Hill, right? It's like, you knock me off and whatever. But there's all this stuff where they're fighting in midair off the edge, and it's not even who is King of the Hill. It's like who gets knocked off the screen first. So these dudes will do like these daring moves where like he'll knock the dude off, but then the dude will double jump back to the platform, and he'll be like, nope, and double jump to him, and then hit him, and they're both falling. It's just the dude who falls farther first loses, right? So they'll make these like crazy kamikaze plays. And I'm just like, this is amazing, and so I was totally into it. I was hooked. But then I just kind of saw like the potential, right? I'm like, yo, these guys are playing on this old ass console, and then not only that, but then Hungrybox, like he won he won the game, and he's crying, and there's drama, and people are like cheering him. And then he only won like $10,000, right? And I don't mean to be like, ooh, only $10,000, but in the world of esports, like coming from League of Legends, those guys are winning like millions. Dota, they're winning like millions. And so I'm like, this guy walks home with 10 grand, and he's like, yay. But I'm like, dude, we could do so much better. Like, we could create such a cool esports scene around this really passionate community. Not only that, but we can create a game that's just for them. You know, Nintendo has made subsequent Smash Brothers games, but they're not as competitive as Melee. Like the Melee dudes only play Super Smash Brothers Melee, and that's why they all buy CRT TVs and they keep their GameCubes, and you know, and that's the scene, and it's an incredibly passionate scene, and it's got just a sort of like really cool vibe. They made me watch this documentary on YouTube about the Super Smash Brothers Melee scene. And there's years of drama, years of rivalry, and so many personalities, and I'm just like, wow, this is so cool. So anyways, I was like, hell yeah, dude, I want to be the art director on this game. We can make a fucking sweet game. It'll be a fighting game, and it will just have these really fun characters. And so we got to work, and that was a year ago, man. Like that was last summer, last Evo, last July. I said yes, and then for a year now, we've just been cranking on this game. And we were able to we were able to use friends through VC funding to get like a $6 million VC funding round. So we got like real. I was like, what? Like these guys hustled and just traveled across the country and did presentations to different venture capitalist groups, and they got $6 million. And so we're funded up until 2018. We got real money to make a real game. So it just happens. Yeah, it just. Oh, thanks, thank you very much. The funny thing is because I didn't have to work. I was like, they're like, yo, Josh, we could pay you, but this is what's going on. And I was like, hey, I'll work for free. Like, I want to help make this thing awesome. I said, we can sort of delay my salary, until we get funded. And you can give me we can do like an equity thing or whatever. You know how they do. When you get hit up on GBNR, they're like, "Hey, I'm working on a project."
Dude, I've got so much equity in like dragon porn. You have no fucking idea. Like that. One of these days, it's gonna fucking blow up. I'm gonna be rich, dude.
Except this was a real thing. Like I felt confident. I felt confident doing this. So,
this is actually legit.
Yeah, so I was able to sort of swing that, and actually help the company grow. And I was like, hey, I want to help this thing. I want to be a part of this. And so they were like, absolutely, Josh, we would love to have you on board. And so I was able to sort of add that that sort of AAA experience that I have to this like little game. And now it's like, we were only like 5 dudes, and now we're like 30 dudes, like. It's like it's just so neat. It's just so neat to see something start from just pure ambition and guts, and say we're gonna do this thing, and then like it's like an RPG, right? Like when you start out in the village, and then someone joins your team and says, "I'll join your quest," and then another dude's like, "My axe and my sword," and you just sort of like turn into this like Lord of the Rings like studio, and you're just like on the quest to make the game. Like, that's really how it felt. Like, people just sort of popped up, and they're like, yo, I heard you're doing this thing. I really want to do that. And we're like, all right, come on board, buddy. And they're like, all right. And you're like, and you just sort of form this team of people that have a shared interest and a shared goal. And it's been a really, really neat year, man. Yeah. Anyway,
awesome.
that's what I've been doing for this year.
That's great.
It's inspiring. It's cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
It's been weird, man. It's just weird in a good way. How serendipitous it's all been. And yes, I do work from home, so we can talk about that. How being an art director from home, the challenges that brings. But
we're working with no pants on. I assume.
I do that. You can do that on site. When you're art director, you can do that on site. So it's really no different.
Yeah. Don't you know who I am? Dude, honestly, the only reason I want to climb the ladder onto an art director role is because I hate pants.
Dude, you just got to be upfront with it. You be like, "Yo, this is a no pants studio."
I'm literally upfront. So, like,
it's just a disclaimer. Wavedash Games is a pants studio. We wear pants. I don't want Matt or Jason getting mad at me.
Man, this could be our first internet scandal with this podcast.
No,
it's fucking sexual harassment.
Yeah, you can never be. Honestly, bro, like I've learned, we live in such a culture these days. I don't want to go too deep on this because holy shit. I mean, I know John and Lena can get into it, but we live in a place where you gotta walk on eggshells with that shit, man. Like people are sensitive, and you know they're so eager to paint you as the bad guy. Like we live in a weird victimization culture where there's power in being a victim, and so people just like they just look to victimize themselves at every turn. So you got to be careful. You know, I think there's definitely still room to speak the truth and have candor.
Yeah.
But you got to do it smart.
Well, dude, I mean, it's like that culture paired with the way most of us communicate now, right? Like, I mean, you're talking to like a lot of people you've never met, and you're usually doing it through like a limited amount of characters, right?
Yeah.
So shit gets taken out of context all the time, you know, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah, because nobody, you know, it's hard for people to know that you're friends, right? It's like if anybody's just jumping in on this podcast, it'd be like, whoa, these guys. But it's like, yo, we've known each other for years and years, but that level of context isn't always readily apparent. And so even in interwork environments, right? Like I have a buddy, and we joke and shoot the shit all the time over Slack, and I'm like, I don't know, I had to pull him to the side and say, hey, I don't think everybody knows we're like we've been friends for years, so let's just sort of like, you know, either let them know or just like dial it back until they figure it out, you know what I mean? So you have to like, you don't always know.
That's like an inner office like romance that you got going on. You got to like hide it from your boss and stuff. You know, like shit, people can't know. People can't know. Don't hold my hand. No, fuck, stop sitting next to me. Stop it.
But we've always held hands, Josh. I know.
And like, baby girl.
Baby girl. We're gonna hold hands again. I just gotta clear it with HR. Like, just gotta make sure that people. But like, that's the thing is like, you know, So we've started this new company, and we're starting to figure out the culture and like what's okay and what's not okay. And we always err on the side of politeness. Always err on the side of courtesy. Always like never assume anything.
Dude, I think like most people naturally do anyway, you know? I mean, I think there's like very few, I mean, as cynical and hateful as I am, you know? Yeah. I mean, I think like very few people want to actually hurt somebody or purposely be offensive. I mean, usually it's like a, you know, whatever. It's like a mistake that gets like blown out of proportion or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's just too many horror stories. And so like, I'll be the first one to admit I have bro tendencies, you know? I have I mean, I served in the military. Like I've been, you know, when you're in the game industry, it's a predominantly male dominated industry, software in general. So there's definitely bad habits that you can pick up, or just general sort of blind spots, you know, that maybe be interpreted as insensitive or callous. And I've really had, over the years, I've had to really sort of sand those down and like be aware of them. That you know, people can be intimidated and like this is something like, I don't want to get too much into it, but like people can get intimidated if you are a little too boisterous or a little too you know, a little too outspoken, or if you're a little too forceful with your opinion and happen to be kind of a big guy or you know what I mean? Like if you're physically imposing in the least, or even if it's just a guy, I guess it's just a man. Both men and women can become so intimidated that they feel that they're afraid to speak their mind. And so I've really had to focus on being as open and as welcoming and as you know, like if I see people that aren't giving feedback or have been a little quiet, like I will go to them and just be like, hey dude, like, you know, we want to know what you're thinking. We want to, like, you have just as much right to speak as we all do, you know. And I'll be like, hey, if I came off a little too like this is the way it must be, it's just because that's my personality and I get worked up sometimes, and I'm completely open to being pushed around on or counter argued if it's right, you know what I mean? And so, dude, art directors have to do one-on-ones. Holy cow, like that we can get into like. That's a whole nother skill set, you know, that when you're in the trenches making artwork and making skins, learning how to do a proper one-on-one is something that takes practice. And so that's something that, you know, as I've been art director, and I to be fair, I learned a little bit of it at Riot as well. But just like those people skills.
I mean, actually, I mean, since you bring it up, I mean, how was like transitioning from just being, I mean, not just, but being a regular artist or being a character artist for years and years and years, and then transitioning into being an art director? Like, what kind of skills did you? I mean, were there skills that you realized you should have had like before you got in there, or like things that you're like picking up? You're like, oh fuck, I've been this way this whole time, and I took it for granted or something.
Yeah, I mean, at Riot, I kind of got labeled at Riot as an alpha bro, like, you know, like just because I would get in meetings and I would have my opinion, and then I would argue my opinion. And sometimes I would shut people down unknowingly, just through, I just talked louder or I talked faster. And it wasn't like I was trying to do that. It's just the way that I am. And I had people sort of sit me down and say, hey, dude, you kind of talked over this person. That wasn't cool. And I was like, oh, shit. And so I would go to them and sincerely apologize and be mindful of that next time. And there was even times when, like, as you grow, and maybe you guys have experienced this, but as you grow, as your profile gets bigger, like as you become Gavin Goulden, lead artist of, you know, Saw Me at Games, and, you know, and Jon Troy Nickel and Layna, like the owners of, you know, as your name gets bigger, the shit that you say carries more weight. And sometimes you don't see how big or how much influence you truly have. You think you're still one of the dudes. You think you're still one of the bros in the trenches, like. So you think you can just say whatever bullshit comes into your mind, right? Like, you know, whatever water cooler thing, like, dude, this guy doesn't know what the hell he's talking about, or dude, that looks like crap, you know. And you think you can just spout this off, not knowing that you are because of how big you are perceived to be within the organization, you just ruined their week. You just ruined someone's week, or you created instability within the power hierarchy of the company. You know what I mean? You just undermined your buddy. Who's trying to he has an agenda, and agendas are perfectly fine within a company, by the way. If you say someone has you have an agenda, it's like, duh, we all have an agenda. Let's get this game fucking done. Anyway, but it's like, it's like, oh, dude, you just sort of like, your words carry more weight, and you have to be sort of, you have to be mature enough to have the optics that the things that you say could ruin a junior artist or associate artist's day. If you come over and you just like I caught myself doing a swoop and poop the other day. I was on site and I was like, oh, dude, why did you do that? Whatever. And I just walked away, you know? and they were like, oh, and they were paralyzed. They couldn't move because they're like, Josh, the art director questioned it. And I didn't say it was bad and I didn't say it was good. I was just like, why did you do that? And that's
whatever.
That's
la 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 la.
Yeah,
like,
whatever. And it was so, and I was like, oh my gosh, I would have hated for that. And you know, that's not like, I didn't exactly say those words, but it was that sort of vibe. And I would have absolutely hated it if my art director did that to me. So I had to be like, yo, this is not something I want to do. Like, this is what I really meant by that. Blah blah blah. You know, I thought I wanted to create a dialogue. And I actually, when I said whatever, I actually was going back to my desk to do a paint over to, like, you know, sort of like show you my idea. And if you don't like that idea, I expect you to be like, Josh, I don't like that because X, Y, and Z. And I expect some pushback. And it's really hard because of the corporate America sort of paradigm that we live in, is you never question the boss. You know, when the art director says that this is what he likes, then you do that because it just makes life easier when you're, you know what I mean? And so being aware of that as a new art director has been huge for me. It's like, you really do have to look at every individual and the way that they prefer to be communicated with, and sort of learn how to have that soft touch and, you know, or soft tone of voice. Not HR. I didn't say soft touch. I said soft tone of voice, or just a more gentle.
Honestly, both are fine.
Yeah. I mean, if I was art directing you, Gavin, it'd be neck rubs all day. Be like,
you do like that power play of like walking up behind me and doing a shoulder massage, but I'd lean into you and you'd be like, oh shit,
like the super creepy HR thing that's in every HR video that they tell you not to do. Like
exactly, like you're the walking HR violation, and I just like I flip it on you. You know?
They just come up on you, like give you a neck rub. Hey, Gavin, it's about time we had a one-on-one. You're like, what? And then freeze frame. Stop. Now, what's wrong with this picture?
Yeah.
What's wrong?
Everything. Everything is wrong with this.
Time out.
Yeah.
What's the art director doing wrong? Do you think Gavin might feel uncomfortable? So yeah. But yeah, so stuff like that. I honestly look at my favorite art directors of the past, guys at Riot that I really looked up to, guys at Iron Lore, guys at Vigil, you know, and I'm a mimic. I think I've told you this before, but I'm a mimic, dude. Like I mimic the people that I'm around, and I look at the qualities that I admire in other people, and I try to emulate them, or I try to assimilate them, you know, if you will. Mm-hmm. You know, like in high school, I liked to hang around tough guys because I wanted to be a tough guy. I was just a fat, chubby little nerd, but who liked, you know, I just draw Ninja Turtles and RoboCop in my folder all day. But then I started hanging around with like more athletic people, and I got more athletic. Like, and then if you hang around with like cynical, negative energy people, you'll become that. And so I made a conscious choice that I really wanted to hang around with really great leaders. When I was at Riot, I really wanted to associate myself with leaders that I looked up to, and leaders that, even if they weren't officially leads or leaders, they were people that their words carried weight, and they knew how to make people, they knew how to get the best out of people. Mm-hmm. And I really wanted to be around those people. And so those are the people that I hung around, and I just sort of tried to copy the way that they talk, or the way they handle certain situations, or certain high pressure scenarios, how they slowed things down and really broke down a problem and didn't rush to judgment, and they never blame anybody, and never, you know, you just state how things are, and then you just start searching for solutions, and then everybody can get on board, and nobody feels like they have the finger pointed at them, and the team can continue on. Like stuff like that, I like really was just like, okay, that's how I want to be when I grow up. You know, like when I have an art director, I'm going to be like that. Mm-hmm. And that's what, and it takes practice, but that's what kind of what I aspire to be, is just someone who can really bring the best out of people, because you have different kinds of art directors, right? You have like at Vigil, I worked at Vigil, and Joe Mad was John Mueller was the art director, but but Joe Mad really had say over, like everything had to be in Joe Mad's style. Mm-hmm. So like in a way it was like he was like the visual vision holder of it, right? If he didn't and so everybody emulated him. It has to be like this. And so that's like one way of being an art director, is like you're sort of like everybody copies you. You're creating the style, you're creating the world, and that's a huge you have to be a Joe Mad to do that, right? You got to like have a signature style and have it analyzed and broken down, and then you know guys can sort of emulate it and create a game like Darksiders where it's Joe Mad style, right? And then I've met other art directors that actually didn't really do art. They knew how to do art, but they didn't really make art for the game. They sort of shepherded all the artists. They sort of just like they were behind them, like a shepherd, sort of directing goats, or like, you know, New Zealand, right? You guys have sheep herders, right? Like, you know how the dogs just like, like that's all you got in New Zealand, like sheep and shit, right? Like
I think in LA we have like stray dogs and stuff. So I mean, I guess you're kind of that. I don't know.
But how you get like a shepherd behind the sheep, and like they wander off, and then you go, nope, not that way, and they go, oh, okay, and they get back with the group, and then they go, oh, how about this? And you're all, no, not over there, come back over here, and so you let them, you direct them in a general direction, but on the whole, they're looking forward, making things. That's another way of art direction. So there's like the shepherd method, and I think there's the Joe Mad like follow me method. Mm-hmm. And to be fair, like right now, my method is very much a mixture of the two, because like I'm also the lead character artist. I'm the art director, and I'm also lead character artist, right? So I'm like creating the first round of assets to show what the standard is, and then I'm like maintaining the style, you know, through paint overs and stuff. I'm saying now, you know, I say, you know, art team, now go forth and do likewise. And then they'll make stuff, and we'll be like, okay, stop, it's got to be like this. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Until they get the vision. Once they understand the vision, then you can sort of go do the shepherd style. Be like, hey, now that you understand the vision, go forth and make cool shit. okay, and oh, stop, our world, our IP doesn't really allow for that yet. Come on back, let's adjust it a little bit. And then that's the thing too, is like I'm also trying to bring people onto the company that I admire to help me, sort of define that vision, because I'm not a Joe Mad. I don't have this like hugely distinctive style that's like on par with like its own worthy of its own universe, right? But at the same time,
I don't sell yourself short. I mean,
you
might not be like Joe Madureira, but I mean, you might be like Joe Ma or something. I mean, you're on your way.
I'm like not Joe Mad. I'm more like Joe Bad. Like...
yeah, exactly.
Joe Baduera. But yeah, so again, so these are all things. I'm still a new art director, and I'm very open with that. I'm like, hey guys, like I'm trying to be the best. I'm trying to lead you guys the best I can. Let me know. And when you have a small company, like right now, our team's pretty small, and I trust every single dude on there. And I ask them for feedback all the time, how I can be a better art director or lead artist or whatever. And there's things I get dinged on, and there's things that I need to improve on. But that's sort of the game, right? That's when you have a good company and you have a good team. At Blizzard, they always used to say "safe to fail." Have you guys heard that phrase?
No, I don't think so. Oh, it's like, Blizzard, like it's okay to fail because you like learn from it or something like that.
Yeah. The thing. Well, here's the funny thing. It's like it should be safe to fail with like a little asterisk, because it's like it's really not.
Don't you fucking dare cost me money, or I swear to God, you're out of here.
It's like hey.
You can like stumble, but I mean, don't like. Yeah. Fail,
Not really fail. Holy crap!
Yeah.
You just ruined everything. They used to say that when I was on Project Titan, before it became Overwatch, our art director would say things like, "Yo, it's safe. We want to create a safe to fail environment." And then at Riot, same thing. They're like, "Yo, we want to make this safe to fail." But what they fail to tell you is like, yes, it's safe to fail, but you're not safe from the consequences of failure.
Right.
Oh,
and you're like,
right.
So you have to take what they really, and like what you really got to glean from that saying is, it's safe to take a calculated risk if you're fine with the consequences either way.
But that doesn't roll off the tongue. You know what I mean? Like, when like project managers go to like some kind of like convention or whatever they do, like a GDC talk or something, that doesn't even fit on the fucking slide, man. Like it has to be something that's like.
Hey, this is safe to fail as long as you're okay with the consequences and you know either way, and you've informed the team of either consequence properly.
Yeah, BT Dubs probably have some kind of safety net, savings. I don't know.
Have another job lined up. Yeah.
Have a valid passport. Have your credentials in order.
Have a buddy in management that could vouch for you for when you do fuck up. No, so that's the thing, is like safe to fail. When you want to create a safe to fail environment, is you want to create it works both ways. Like the guy who's executing the task in which there's a risk, and the people that will be affected by the risk that he takes, both need to be informed of what the negative outcome could be. And if everybody's cool with that, now you've created a safe to fail environment. That's really safe to fail, is you got to really properly communicate what the risks are before you decide to do a thing. And if everybody's cool with the risks and everybody's cool, or if the risk is minimal and you have a backup, you're like, hey, if I fail, we can at least do this. Then that's truly, in my opinion, a safe to fail environment. And it's a really hard thing to pull off because it requires a high level of communication and really articulating what the challenges will be and what the scenarios, what the failure states and the success state looks like. And not a lot of people can do that. So what happens is a lot of junior artists or people who don't quite understand what that means go, it's a safe to fail thing, and they'll just veer off into like la la land and like lose you like several dev cycles, and then they get reprimanded and they get pissed off because I thought this was safe to fail, and then they get all mad because it wasn't properly articulated what that phrase actually means. Anyways, that's something I had to learn the hard way, by the way.
That's going to be pretty complicated in a very large environment and company because, as you're describing it, I think that's pretty much what Troy and I are, but we're a company of like two, essentially. Yeah. And that in itself is already difficult sometimes when we're trying to figure out what's the best way to go about something, but I can't even imagine what that must be like in a company of hundreds.
When you're on the conveyor belt of, so there's two different paradigms of production, right? There's the R&D paradigm where it's like, hey, yo, blue sky, safe to fail for reals, because if you do something, complete doesn't work out, guess what? We're in R&D mode, wipe the slate clean, try again. We have a post-mortem, we record what happened, what went wrong, make sure we don't do it again, but we're gonna do another thing from scratch. That's R&D. That is truly safe to fail in a way in which, you know, you would understand it. Now, which is, you know, and then safe to fail in a true production environment is much trickier to pull off, because that conveyor belt needs to be moving. The art directors, the management, whatever, art leads, they're not looking for experimentation anymore, man. They're not looking for like this new cool thing. They want it to be on rails. And when I say on rails, I mean like on tracks, like a conveyor belt. Ford, you know, like Tom Ford, is that his name? The guy who created Ford, you know, get it on, like you do this, you do that, status quo. Let's get this product out as fast as possible and print that money. Mm-hmm. And if anybody veers from that procedure, if anybody changes that and wants to change the status quo, it better be groundbreaking. But where do you find time to make that better? Where do you find time to improve the process? It's hard, because if you're stuck in that conveyor belt of production, it's really hard to partition off. Like, you have to have a really convincing argument to go to your production managers, your dev managers, your product owner, whatever, and say, hey, I got this great idea. It's going to speed things up, but you got to give me like a month to R&D it and make sure it's fine and document it. They'll go, oh, dude, you're going to be out of the line for three weeks or whatever. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's really hard. That's going to reduce the velocity of the team big time. And so you got to find someone to pick up the slack or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like, it's this juggling act of time and man hours. And so it's really hard to do that and to be experimental and try new things, in my opinion, when you're in a production, like, you know, conveyor belt. But when the machine is moving, it's really hard.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a struggle like a lot of artists have in game dev anyway. You know, like I think a lot of people really want to be in the like pre-production kind of phase where like you can try different things out, like you can spend more time like sculpting something out or on these details that, you know, 99% of the assets aren't going to have and things like that.
You can try a new shader.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, like once the rules kind of get made and you have to like work within those boundaries, you know, that's like a different game altogether. You know, no pun intended. But
yeah, but at the same time, there's comfort in that, right? I know a lot of people who don't want to be on projects during the R&D pre-production phase. They want to join the project when it's all set, all the questions have been answered. You can just sit down, look at the wiki, be like, oh, this is how I get assets in game, done. And they just sit down and just bust out the jams, and they'll be there all the way till you ship, you know, because they don't want to be there for the problem solving aspect. They want to be there for the creation aspect and get that credit, you know. For the first part of my career, I did that a lot, where I would be on game. They would ramp up for, like, they needed manpower to get the game shipped, and then they would ask me to come on, and I'd be like, all right. And all the questions were already answered. And so Bobo was my lead, you know, Brian Jones, and he'd just sit me down and be like, hey, this is how you get a game, so you get an asset in game, and then just go. And you're just working the midnight hour, like into the wee hours of the morning, like making stuff, because all the questions, it's just about content, you know.
Yeah.
And then, but then you got to shift gears. So then after that, I went to, like, you go to a company like 38 Studios, which we can talk about. I went to 38, and that was like pre-production central, like nothing had been made. And so and then there's that, or even still, like Vigil, right? Vigil, working on the Warhammer 40K MMO, and then even more Overwatch, Project Titan. It's like you want there's an itch to get into that production mode. I just want to make stuff. And if you're not, it's a mind shift to be like, no, we are in problem solving mode right now, and we're gonna make a lot of stuff and throw it away, and you got to be cool with that. You know. And some guys don't like that. I've seen people just leave companies because they're like, hey, call me when you figure this out. I'm gonna go work on, you know, a sequel or something that all the questions have been figured out, and then call me when the game is actually in production, because they're production dudes. They don't like to solve the big problems. They like to iterate on already existing solutions. So anyway.
So
let me know if I'm talking too much.
No.
No, this is all good stuff. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So I guess being an art director now, I I mean, you must be overseeing like the art for everything, right? I mean, I don't know if that's like a dumb question to ask, but like you're not just quote unquote the like character art director.
Yeah. Yeah,
right?
no, yeah, no, there's environments, there's arenas, there's
Yeah.
So
I mean, how do you like I mean, is there like a lot of change from that perspective? I mean, I know like character art usually has, at least I found, usually has like a stigma that they're not involved with like the game development process, that they're really like like in their bubble of making like making characters and just banging it out, like working like for months at a time on this stuff. So is it, not that you strike me as that kind of guy or anything, but was there some sort of threshold that you had to cross, like going from character art to like overseeing everything?
Yeah. No, yeah. So I know how to do character art. I kind of understand environment art, but dude, I worked on environments back in like the PS2 days, dude. Environment art has come so far in terms of the tricks and the lighting and the stuff, you know what I mean? So we have a few environment artists, and they're super smart guys. They're super smart guys, super eager to learn, but they come from the Smash community, the Melee like mod community. So they understand gameplay, the gameplay constraints super well, like the bounding boxes, the collision. They understand like how it's supposed to feel, because these guys are like hardcore smashers, right? That's what they call people who play Smash.
I would go with Smash Mouths.
They're Smash, yeah.
I don't know. I'm not a.
No.
I'm not a marketing guy though, so I don't know.
Dude, that's so funny you said that, because I'm on Facebook right now looking at one of my buddies, and he's got a Smash Mouth like thing, and it's all Guy Fieri. Like,
oh Jesus.
Okay, that's so like coincidental. Yeah, I think calling them Smash Mouths would probably be either super awesome if they embraced it, they were like hell yeah, or they would just rage.
Yeah.
like if we had first like.
I just saw that. Dude, that's so weird because it's just popped up on my feed too. That's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
On open Facebook.
Yeah. Is it Elliot Bag?
Yeah.
Elliot Bags. Somebody once told me the world is gonna grill me, Smash Mouth, and it's all Guy Fieri. Like, oh my gosh. All right. Anyway. How awesome would that kind of be, though, right? If we had our first like esports tournament and we got Smash Mouth to perform and like Guy Fieri to like MC.
Dude. It'd be awesome.
That'd be kind of epic. All right. Maybe it wouldn't, but maybe it'd be a joke. But I kind of think it'd be epic.
Hey, all right. Look, you've created a safe to fail environment. This is an idea that I feel that we can take a risk on and just see how it goes.
Maybe we'll spike it. We'll do a low scope spike, and we'll just get maybe we'll do it like in a Hilton somewhere in Kentucky, and if it fails, nobody will even know, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Keep a very low visibility, and if it's amazing, then it's amazing. If it fails, nobody has to know. Anyway, so I had to learn a lot about the Unity engine, man. There's been sort of the stuff that you've been going through in terms of like learning new disciplines. I've been doing the same thing, dude. It's like I gotta learn how to speak animator talk. Gotta learn how to talk technical art. Gotta learn, stuff about Unity's lighting and making Unity packages and blah blah blah. And not only that, but holy crap, like I never had to set up Perforce because it was always just set up for me, But now I got to learn to set up Perforce on my own, and it's like, oh, this is a nightmare. But we figured it out, you know what I mean? So now that I know all this stuff, I get to teach someone else, and then I go, you teach everybody else. Like that's delegation.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude. So again, like these guys all come from the Smash community, and they're super smart when it comes to gameplay. And then I come in and I'm like, hey, dude, let me show you how to use Substance Painter. Let me show you how to bake these normal maps properly. Let me show you. Let me give you a paint over just how the lighting is supposed to look, and let's work hard to get it to match that one for one, right? And we're still learning, dude. We're still learning. We're still trying to figure it out. But I'm proud to say that some of these guys like have been making some of the best stuff in their portfolio. You know what I mean? And to me, like that's really like the mark of a good art director. Like if I can bring out the best in people, if I can have them make some of their best work of their career thus far in this game, I'll feel that's a good feeling for me. And that's my job. I feel like that's the job. We have a creative director. His name's Jason Rice. He's a really cool dude. And me and him are sort of like the guys when it comes to creating this world, right? So he kind of tells me the why, like why is this way, and what are we making, and then I'm sort of the like, okay, well, this is how we're going to make it, and this is who's going to make it. You know, these are the guys that can do this. So it's very much a learning process on both ends. We're both learning how to sort of do this things. There are things, because like if you talk to someone, you're like, hey, would you like to be an art director, or what does it mean to be an art director? And they'll say something like, you're the boss, you get to be in charge, you're the guy with the power. And a lot of people think that they want to be an art director so that they can be quote unquote in charge, right? But there's a lot more to it than that, man. There's a lot more. Like I would always see people that got promoted into leads or promoted into art. I've seen a few guys get promoted into art director, and like all the happiness and joy just like left their countenance. You know, they were always you know, they used to be happy and they joke and they would, you know, they'll tell you a dirty joke or they'd chime in, you know, but then they get all scared. And once they get into leadership, this happened at Riot a ton, by the way, where they get promoted into leadership and now they're like, I'm scared to make a wrong move. I'm scared to, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. I have to be the epitome of leadership culture. And they're just quiet. They're just quiet, and they just sort of like, parrot the things that they've seen in the employee handbook, or the things that they've heard the other art directors say, and they start saying, you know, the same words. They say like, oh, force multiply. Hey, dude, you got to do force multiply.
There's always like a catchphrase that just spreads like a fucking STD or something. You know, it's dude, like I don't know. I don't know. I can't think of one off the top of my head, but like you're saying, it's like synergy or force multiplier.
Synergy, or yeah. Player focused, like you just sort of you lean on corporate speak because you're scared to have an original thought. You're scared to speak your mind, and so you lean on corporate speak. And then after a while, dude, you know, when people who aren't leads hear so much corporate speak, they either get really angry because they're like, quit saying corporate speak to me, dude. Speak to me like a fucking human. Or if they have aspirations to be leadership, they begin to use corporate speak. You know, so they're like, oh yeah, if I say these phrases in meetings, the people will think I'm smart. So it just sort of like takes this viral aspect, and it sort of like messes up the company culture, because now because then you got to stop by and you'd be like, yo, what does force multiplier even really mean? Yo, what does T-shaped mean again? Like, what does player focused mean again? Because I feel like we're just using it as a shorthand for this other thing, which we should actually be saying, you know, right. Like, so slang, like company jargon and company, I think there's been studies on this too, where company industry slang and jargon like muddies the waters, and true communication gets harder and harder.
Right. I mean, imagine it's like probably isolating in a way too, right? Like if you end up having this like weird phrase that you're saying, that you're basically not saying the meaning of what you're saying, and somebody's not like catching on to that. It's like, fuck, dude. It's like I feel like people like aren't being straight with me, or like whatever. Like I'm an idiot for not knowing what they're talking about, or something.
Yeah.
You know? It's like, I don't know, because you don't know flimity flam, shimmity sham, or something. Yeah. Like that. It's like, whoa, what the fuck? I don't know. Like I don't know. You guys made this up. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. It happens. It happens at every big company, and I don't want to like point out Riot. I'm sure they're working on it. They're really good at finding problems and solving them. But happened at Blizzard, happens at Riot, you know, happens everywhere, because, you know, everybody wants to be cool, everybody wants to be smart, and if all the cool kids are saying a thing, then you say it too, you know. We're pack animals that way. So one of the things so again, like Wavedash is my chance to really like make a company culture that's like genuine. You know, and right now we're only like 30, and it's not that hard. You know, people can really be generous and be super, and can trust each other, and everybody can know everybody. Yeah, I think studies have shown like once you get past 200, that's when things get rough, and you know it's hard to have that intrinsic trust between departments and between people. So I don't know, man. I remember I used to ask the executives all the time at Riot, like, in big company all hands meetings, I'd say, yo, how do we keep the trust in our company and not resort to bureaucracy and manuals, and how do we keep real trust and real communication alive in the company? And they were just like, dude, that's such an awesome dream, and we really don't have a definitive answer. And I don't think anybody does. I think the real answer is you stay small. Like, you know, you stay small and you stay tight. And I remember I like to use an analogy like Lamborghini, right? Lamborghini is a fairly large company, but every car is made by the same team. Mm-hmm. I guess they have like every team gets to autograph or put their name in the glove box of a Lamborghini because it's the same dudes who handcraft every single vehicle, opposed to like a Ford Focus or something that's made on a conveyor belt by robots, right? Mm-hmm. Like nobody knows who did what. So like there's definitely like they're both viable pipelines. It's just one, you're getting a different product with each one, and keeping a team tight and keeping a team consistent, and it was the same dudes every single time. You're going to start getting a much better product when it's the same dudes working together over the years. Because, you know, I don't want to use that. I guess intimacy is a good word to use. I don't know, like, you know, they become, and I don't mean that in a weird sexual way. I mean it in a familiar way. You become familiar with each other's weaknesses, each other's quirks, strengths, and you also become intimate with the product. You know exactly how to make the thing. You know exactly how to do it right.
Yeah, I mean, I think like at a certain point, it kind of becomes hive mind, right? Like you're all thinking the same thing. You're all like, you know, you're all on the same page constantly. Like you're all like shooting for the same, you know, goals. But like when you get bigger, that kind of gets more diluted.
And we shift people around a lot, right?
Yeah, yeah. I know. Like we were talking about it before we started recording, but I guess, you know, on that subject, talking about culture fit and keeping keeping the culture, quote unquote, of the company as you grow. I mean, I guess from your perspective, having been at like Riot as they blew up, and what's that, Lena?
Oh, I was kind of agreeing with you. I'm just echoing exactly what you're saying.
I've never had a hype man before. This is awesome. every time
okay, culture fit.
That's great. Shit. Yeah. So I mean, like with Riot, and you were, I mean, as far as I know, you were there from like the small time to when they blew up, and I mean, from your, you know, you're telling your story about, you know, how you know, with like the Tencent like acquisition and shit like that. Now going on to Wavedash, which, I mean, let's be honest, in like a year, you guys are going to be like 3,000 employees large. You know what I mean? So
I hope so, and I'm afraid of that, and I have mixed emotions about that. Let's say.
Well, I mean, how do you? 'Cause I mean, I feel that every company does have a culture. Like, I mean, the different companies that I've been in, there's still like a different like vibe in the building, right? Different like teams value different things. They have different ways of like going about it, reviewing work, like solving problems and stuff like that. I mean, I think that's a thing that you probably want to keep consistent, but at the same time, you know, you kind of become closed-minded, right? It's like you're not like allowing any other opinions and shit like that. So there's like positives and negatives to it, but
yeah, man. I don't know. John, Lena, before I answer this question, can you guys talk about culture? Like, because you guys, what was the culture like at a place like Weta, like a world-class sort of content creation house like Weta?
I think we can kind of like talk a little bit about the two different areas that we were in, because Lena was in, like, we were under one roof, but Lena was like, the area that Lena was working in was completely different to mine. It was almost like, well, maybe it's like the different teams at Blizzard. You know how you've got team 1 through 4 or 5.
StarCraft, Warcraft, all the different teams.
And each of those teams has their kind of their own thing going on. I'm guessing it's something similar to the way that we were working, because I was in the design room, and the culture there, well, I don't really know if there was kind of a culture per se, because it was a pretty small team. There's only like maybe 15 people in there, and everyone was in their cubicles. It was quiet. We had dogs. There was probably like 3-4 dogs in there. It was very, the average age of the room was probably like mid-30s, man. You know,
Yeah.
it was very kind of like chilled and relaxed, and the only time that it really got like super loud or excitable was when a director came in and you know it was looking at the art wall. It was you know they would bring in their kind of entourage, and there would be there'd be like 50 or 100 people in there, and they'd all be kind of like talking about what they're seeing on the walls. And but aside from those times, man, it was very, very chilled. Everybody was very kind of respectful of everybody else's kind of like space, and you know the overall volume was always very low. The work hours also, you were kind of like, you were entrusted to get the job done, and if you wanted to work from like midnight until 3 a.m. Oh, sorry, and from like 9 p.m. until like 5 a.m. in the morning, dude, that's your call. You know what I mean? As long as the work's done, and as long as somebody can get hold of you if they need something, it's all up to you.
Yeah.
But as far as like where Layna was working, it was pretty much the polar opposite of that. So yeah, you
Interesting.
what it was like for you.
Well, I mean, looking from the outside in, as far as the design room was concerned, it definitely felt like a top-tier, respectable environment. You know, when you walked in there, you could just feel very like, wow, this is an inspirational place, and it's a place to be mature and an adult, you know. And that was really cool. I really liked that. The workshop was very, I mean, these are filled with guys that have been there for like 10, 15, 20 years. You know, they've got their regime and how they do things, and you either fit or you don't. And I almost will go as far as to say is culture was nor here nor there. It's like you get the job done. If you can't get the job done, you're out. And it's cool if you can like banter with each other, but if you focus too much on that and you got in everyone's way and slowed down the production line, then you're wasting time and money, you know, because everything was so go, go, go all the time. There was no room for failure. But specifically in the 3D room, you know, it was all young guys. There was one girl, which was me, and another girl who was sort of, what do you call, like, scheduling, things like that.
Producer?
And I was just the guy, producer.
Something like that, yeah.
Something names like that. Just younger dudes from like 18 to 25, and they all were from school with each other and were really cool and
But were people willing to take, I don't know how to phrase this, like
risk or a question?
No, what was working at Weta like their dream, and they were willing to take bullshit because, hey, I'm at Weta. You know what I mean? Like maybe there's some, you know, it's like go, go, go. Maybe you fail, or maybe you slow someone down, someone cusses you out, and maybe something, I don't know, maybe nothing bad ever happened. But was it ever like an environment like, hey, it's okay, I'll take some level of abuse because I'm at Weta? Because that happens in games all the time.
Oh, dude, I definitely think that from my perspective, I saw that from where I was looking, but not really so much in the design room. I mean, I think it happened on some level with some people.
Yeah.
But I think more so where Layna was working on the workshop floor. I think there was lots of that going on, man, and everybody just took it. You know what I mean? Because
it's Weta. I know it happens. Like people, I've heard stories of it happening at like Disney and Pixar. You know, people are like, dude, it's okay. I just got cussed out in front of everybody and humiliated, but I'm at Pixar, so it's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose. I don't know if I really got that vibe, but
yeah,
I suppose that would make sense. Most of us.
Well, Weta sounds like a dope place then, man.
I think it's like for an artist, I haven't been any more inspired on a daily basis at any place that I've ever worked. It's like visual, like the visual kind of feast that you get kind of met with every day.
Yeah.
And Oh man, yeah, that combined with the kind of like freshness of the projects that come through that place on literally like sometimes a daily basis, man. It could just be like, oh guys, we're doing this now, and it's like, what?
Yeah,
Oh,
you guys they work on some of the coolest stuff. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of like when I was a kid, like I always wanted to work at like Jim Henson's workshop. Like that was like the dream, right? Like I remember watching, what was that show? It was like the Jim Henson Hour.
The Muppets.
No, I think it was literally called the Jim Henson Hour. And like Jim Henson would do, it had the white lion. Like Jim Henson would sit there with like his puppet white lion, and it was like this badass white lion. And he would do like making of and say, hey, this is how we made this animated short. And they'd show the animatronics booth, and he'd show you the magic of editing. And I was just like, I want to do that so bad. And I imagine that working at Weta would be like, scratch that itch big time.
Oh,
like,
dude, yeah.
You're pretty much working with like, you're pretty much working in like a fantasy like scenario. Like magic is happening before your eyes.
As much as it is filled with absolute just oozing with inspiration and love and passion, I think you need to have giant balls to work there, like huge. Because again, like I said, because people have been there from the ground up. There's not much room to come in there and cause chaos. You either follow suit and put forward your ideas properly in the pipeline, or you don't fit, So it's good things and bad things, but if you're willing to kind of keep your mouth just quiet and look at what everyone else is doing and be a part of the amazingness, then it works. If you're someone that wants change, and if you're someone that wants to be like raising your hand and being like, hey, do it like this, it's not quite the place.
You gotta have some seniority and some clout if you want to do that, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's I think that's a common thread. So like, okay, so culture, right? So being a culture fit, I feel like culture fit has become like a Silicon Valley lingo buzzword. It's sort of this all-encompassing thing. You can fire somebody because they're not a culture fit, and you can hire somebody despite their qualifications because they're just really a really strong culture fit. And again, I could be wrong, but in my experience, I've seen that word used this way. So it's like at its very worst, culture fit can be used as a way to discriminate, right? Someone comes in who's a little older, well, he's not a culture fit, Someone comes in who doesn't play the same games as you, or they're only into JRPGs or board games and they're not playing FPSs, not a culture fit. It's just true, or
it's like another way to like marginalize people.
Kinda, And on the flip side of that, and I get how culture fit can be a good thing because you want people that jive together and can be friendly and collaborate together, right? But when it gets abused, I'm just talking about the edge cases when it's used wrong. Okay, I'm not against culture fit. I think culture fit's a legitimate thing that you should look for, but when it's used wrong, it can be used to discriminate, and when it's used wrong, it can also be a danger to an organization because your culture becomes homogenized and nobody's bringing anything new to the table because you're so obsessed with having the proper culture fit that you get a stagnation of ideas and a stagnation of idea flow, right? So if you're only bringing in people who dye their hair bright and play a certain type of game and they're all edgy millennial like fidget spinner vape kids, like
I feel like you've got a certain type that you're.
Dude, I definitely don't. I just totally.
Gavin just put his fidget spinner down.
Yeah. to be honest, not to derail here, but I touched a fidget spinner for the first time last week, and surprisingly, the universe didn't collapse in on itself around me. But I have no fucking idea what this is. So like, if I don't have it, I don't own it. It's just like like a coworker has one, right?
It happened overnight.
I don't know. So, so I picked it up and like kind of twiddled it or whatever.
Yeah.
And it just looked like a 2017 version of like a pinwheel. You know what I mean? Of like a toy that some kid in the like 1800s would have. And it's like I'm like, I don't know what this is. Just put it on the desk. I don't know. I don't.
You cavemaned it, right? You looked at it like blankly for like a second. Then you tried to like listen to it. You put it to your ear and you're like, you shook it a little bit. You're like, does it make sound? Like, what is this thing?
Yeah.
Just you like held it up to the light.
Just banged it on the desk a little bit. Stared at it through like my fucking giant brow that I have.
And then somebody spins it in your fingers, and you're just like, oh. I can focus now. I can focus.
That's my god now. So
so there's nothing wrong with being that stereotype. I don't care, right? I just threw it out there because it's something that's been on my mind lately. Whatever. You could be a fedora, samurai sword, atheist dude. I don't care. Like I don't carry judgment. I just think things are funny. Anyway, but so if that's your culture, right? Like you're only hiring that type of person, then you're gonna be blind to diversity. Culture fit kind of can inhibit diversity of thought, diversity of diversity of ideas. So like I think before a company like decides that culture fits a thing, they need to decide what their culture is. And I think culture should be very loosely based. Like culture should be based around values, not hobbies, not things that people are. I don't think it should be based around common interests.
You're taking like an objective point away from it. You know what I mean? Like if you should be hiring people based on like their skill set or whatever. And I mean, if like they're like an oddball that can't like communicate their ideas properly or something, it's like, well, that's one thing. But if they don't look the part, I mean, that's just as bad as like any other form of discrimination. You know what I mean? I mean, you're just kind of like, well, you don't do this in your off time, so no. You don't come here.
Yeah. So, totally. So like, the word culture has cult in it, and here's the again.
Whoa!
That just blew my mind.
Oh shit! Let's just whoa.
What?
Dude. No, I got all kinds of stuff for you. I
got some shit you should read, dude.
No, bro.
Have you guys ever seen the Earth? Have you? No, I don't think so. I mean, it could be a fucking parallelogram. You don't know.
Okay. So anyway, I went to a funeral this past. I'm just gonna digress real quick because we're at this funeral, and I whispered to my kids, and I was like, "Yo, what if we're all just in a room with VR helmets, and death is when you take your VR helmet off?" And my kids were like, "Whoa!" They're like, "Dad, you can't just blow our minds in the middle of a funeral." So anyway, okay.
I mean, I guess it's a fitting place.
I can kind of see that happening. It's all like silent at a funeral, and then you guys just bust out randomly going, "Whoa!"
I'm like, "Yo, he just took his VR helmet off, and we're still in the Matrix." And my kids are, my oldest is 15, and she's just like, "Whoa!" So anyway, but like I said, so the word culture has cult in it, right? And the strongest company cultures I've seen feel a little culty, don't they? Like,
yes.
Yeah.
And it's a little off. Like it feels a little off-putting to the outsider, but then once you join the company and they're like, "Join us," and you drink the Kool-Aid, so to speak. Oh, that's a dark metaphor. I should probably stop using it.
Well,
right?
I mean, only I don't think a lot of people think about Jonestown when they think Kool-Aid, though.
Sure. Or you assimilate into the cult. All right. Yeah. You're like, "Hey, it's not so bad. This is pretty sweet." I get my culty T-shirt, and I only have a wardrobe. Like when I worked at Blizzard, I had an entire wardrobe of Blizzard gear. When I worked at Riot, I had an entire wardrobe of Riot gear. And I'm pretty sure when you join a cult, you get a bunch of free clothes too. Like, like here's your sneakers, here's your black turtleneck. Welcome to Apple. I don't know. Yeah. Like now you all look like Steve Jobs. Like. I think that that's culture, right? Mm-hmm. And And how do you create a strong company culture that's not culty, that's open-minded? Because even, I mean, we're, like I said, humans are tribal creatures, right? We love to be in packs. And if you even take it down to the family dynamic, right? Different families have different cultures. You go to your buddy's house and his family does things a different way than you do because that's their culture. That's their family, you know? And people tend to do that. And in larger organizations, creating a company culture is something that I think executives strive for because it strengthens the worker dynamic. But at the same time, you got to make sure that you're not, if you're going to take it to the family analogy, right? You just got to make sure you're not like that weird family down the street that, you know, is like, you know, that doesn't let you, it's like super racist and shit. Like, I don't know, like, not saying companies are that way, but discriminatory and afraid and exclusionary. And, you know, like, those are things that you see in some companies sometimes. Or even like if you thrive on conflict, right? If you're like, you know, have you seen families that just argue all the time? They're volatile. They fight and then they make up, and then they fight and then they make up. Well, I've seen companies that do that. I've seen companies that are like, they think they can talk to each other in a very disrespectful way, and then and after everything calms down, they can have a beer and be like, "Yo, man, I'm sorry that during crunch I freaked out on you, man," and blah blah blah. You know what I mean? It's like, no. That's volatile. That's not good company culture. But it's also, you know, it's like a bad relationship. You know, it's like we fight then we make up, then we fight and then we make up, and that's very unhealthy. So it's like, I don't know, man. Like I don't have the answer. I don't. All I can draw upon is like the positive relationships that I've had in my life. Like I feel like I have a pretty dope marriage, right? Like we've been married for 16 years. And we've been through a lot of shit, like, and learning how to communicate has been one of the biggest challenges because we love each other, but at the same time, there's like things that you just feel like, oh, you should be reading my mind right now. Don't you know by now? But they don't. And so, and correcting somebody correcting somebody is hard to do, even when you have love and trust. It still needs to be done a certain way because you can hurt someone's feelings, and hurt feelings turns into contention, and it turns into sour grapes, and then shit doesn't get done, right? The family or the culture or the company doesn't work smoothly. So I'm really just taking anything I know about company culture from my experience as a father and a husband. That may be a weird tactic. I don't know, man. But like,
so just go to work tomorrow and hug some people and make sure they did their homework and
just do the dishes. I'm just gonna do the dishes and just make sure, and then everybody will love me, right? Like I'm gonna clean the office and I'm gonna buy treats for everybody, and then they'll listen to me. Then they'll like me.
Yeah. Sure.
You know, I think I really actually liked that about Weta Workshop specifically. Because there was no, I remember in the interview, I don't think they cared what you looked like, what game you played, or movies you watched. I don't think they even cared if you liked Lord of the Rings, you know. If you had potential to add to the environment artistically, and you could help get the job done, that's what was important. And in doing so, I met so many cool people in every little, like, team, the leatherworking team or the molding and casting team, 3D team, design team, you know, prop making. Everybody was different, and it was so fun meeting everybody because they brought something different to the table, whether it was the personality or how they did the job or how old they were or experienced or inexperienced. And that was really cool about Weta. And I feel like somewhat of a rarity in LA out of an assumption from what we saw.
So I just bashed on company culture or culture fit. Let's flip it. Let's flip it to the other side, all right? Because we're smart people, and smart people always can understand both sides of an argument. So in defense of company culture, right?
I just banged a fidget spinner on a desk like a caveman. I'm not a smart guy.
Dude, because you're inquisitive, because you're curious.
Sure. I must know.
You must know how they work.
The shaved ape must figure this out.
So in defense of so let's flip it. Why is company culture become a thing? And I think the main argument for company culture or for cult culture fit is domain knowledge, right? In video games, in the game industry, people want to work with people, particularly if you're working in a particular genre, you want to work with someone who has domain knowledge, right? So it's like, right now, I know at Wavedash, we hire people, and if you do have knowledge of the Smash scene, competitive Smash Melee scene, that's a plus, because that's the genre, that's the domain knowledge, and that bridge of communication becomes easier, right? And I remember in the early days of League of Legends, it was like, do you play League of Legends? Do you play MOBAs? Do you play games at all? And that's kind of the progression. It's like, at first it was like, we only want to hire people that play League of Legends or MOBAs because we want the domain knowledge. And then as time went on, it turned into, well, do you play games? And you know, because and then there were people in legal and finance that were like, I don't play games. I played Super Mario when I with my brothers. You know what I mean? And you're like, oh, okay, but you know, we really need someone in legal. You're hired. You know, you're a good lawyer. You're a good financial dude. You're good at HR. Just come on in. And so you began to sort of be like, hey, maybe culture fit, and that's, you know, and maybe culture fit isn't a hobby, and domain knowledge maybe is not as pertinent in certain fields of the company as it is in others. Like, you wouldn't hire a designer on League who doesn't play games. Like, that's just a given. Or you wouldn't hire, you know, on Spider-Man, right? You're not going to hire a lead designer or anybody who doesn't have domain knowledge on that type of game. Same goes for Smash, right? And same goes for Wavedash and the game we're working on. Like, but you know, as time goes on, it's like our office manager doesn't really have to be like a hardcore Smasher or
yeah. I mean, I think there's like again, like objective ways of looking at it too, right? Like with Insomniac, with us being independent still, I mean, I think that attracts like a certain type of person, and you know, kind of what I guess manages like their expectations or their way of like looking at problems, and you know, like what they're used to, right? Like I mean, I don't think it's not necessarily culture, but it kind of is, because you have to have like that, you know, scrappy, like independent mentality versus like, you know, like, you mean I just can't stroll in like whenever I want and do, you know, like work whatever hours, and like, you know, it's different, right? So I mean, I think there's things like that also contribute to it in a way.
And you know, and you always have to be kind of on guard for the way, like, I think we talked a little about this before the recording, like entropy, right? Like, what's entropy is like, it's a word that's like kind of goes along with like the law of thermodynamics. It's like when shit just breaks down. But you look for signs of entropy in your company culture, and one of those signs is when work becomes more valuable than the person, I think. You know, that's definitely a sign when the individual is no longer taken into account, but the output is worth more than the individual. And so I think the best thing to do when creating your company culture, like I'm in this right now, and I'm thinking about this right now as we speak. It's like, how do I create a healthy art culture, right? And it has to be based on values, right? It's more about shared values than shared interests. Right?
Yeah, totally.
It's like, I'm not gonna hire people that do like, it's like, hey, do you do CrossFit? Sorry, bro, you're not hired. You know what I mean? What's your bench? Sorry, bro, you got to bench at least 225 to get in this art team. Like, it's not like it's not like that. But it's like, it's you got to share, it's shared values, right? And I think and you got to nail that. Once you nail that, then you let that sort of be your company religion, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, because I've seen you guys, you brought it up, how different teams function differently at Weta, because there's a separation there. Same thing happens at Blizzard, same thing happens at Riot, where like they have a few research and development teams. When a team gets cut off from the main body, right? They tend to sort of either preserve the pure company culture or corrupt it, right? Or sort of evolve it into new things. So like things worked differently on Team 4 Overwatch Titan than they did on Blizzard. Warcraft, World of Warcraft. They had the same company values, right? Like, you could go to the courtyard, that big orc statue, and there's the company values. Every player has a voice, like gameplay first, yada yada yada. And those are the sort of like things you say, but they put them into practice differently. And I can just sort of think about like families and religion, right? Like Like you go, I don't know if you ever had that experience. You go to a friend's house and they're kind of like super religious and they do things in a different way. But then you go to like another buddy's house and they're like the same religion, but they do things like a completely different way. Like, I don't know if you've ever had that experience. It's almost like the values are that sort of mantra, and some adhere to it better than others, and some adapt it to the needs, or they think they need to adapt it to the needs. And so again, it's one of those things that just comes with size. How do you maintain company culture and the integrity of the company culture as you get past a certain size? And it's just the people. It's just the people you hire, man. Like, I think that's it. Like, there's no magic formula. It's like you hire shitty people, you're gonna have a shitty company culture. Like, you hire great people that have really strong values, you'll have a great company culture. And that seems really simplistic view of things, but in my mind, I feel like that's the best. That's all you could really do. Shit, man. I don't know. Shit.
Shit, I don't know.
Shit, I don't know. Just be cool. Our company culture is just be cool.
Everybody be cool to one another.
Just be cool. Don't be an asshole.
Don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick. It's so easy.
It's so easy. Just don't be a dick. That's the company culture. I don't know. Still figuring it out, bro. Still figuring it out. It's something along those lines for sure.
So, Troy and Lena, I guess for what you guys are doing. I mean, obviously, you have a lot of followers and like a lot of fans of your work, as I've seen in person. I mean, do you guys have maybe not like a company culture, but like a fuck, I don't know how to put it. Like, I guess like a certain like an appeal. Like, are you like purposely like targeting like a certain kind of like community, and like when you like are connected to that community, because I mean you guys stream all the time, you're always talking to people. I mean, how do you foster like a healthy, I mean, I guess like a healthy community in that way? Not so much like a company culture, but like a community culture.
I think it was a little bit unintentional, but because Troy and I are on such a similar wavelength, I think we've fostered a community based off of honesty, and sometimes brutal honesty. Because during my school years things were not really like that, and since I've met Troy and he's very nicely forward, I think I like surrounding myself with people like that. And we've, how would you say, I guess just been very forward with people as we communicate with them, whether it's about what our products are, how we feel about a certain topic, or things that we've been through, or our opinions, which so far it's made people feel like they can open up to us as well about how they feel about something, or something that they went through, or what their hopes were for, whether it be in our product or what they're doing on their own time, rather than build this kind of community off of false kindness or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's interesting though, because it's almost like, from like Josh's perspective, and I guess your guys' perspective, I guess mine, because I agree with you. A lot of it seems to be based off of just being honest and like trusting. You know what I mean? Like, if you trust like your artist on your team to like do their job, and you're communicating with them, and you're not doing like the swoop and poop. Or, I mean, if you're talking like, you're talking to your community, I mean, they're not like working for you, but they're definitely like, part of like your, of what you're doing, just being like straight up with them.
That's so rare. That's so rare these days that I think, I think, we grew up in the 80s, grew up in the 90s. I think we're like one of the most heavily marketed generations of all time. Like, we grew up wanting to see commercials. Like, there are times when you wanted to see the commercial more than you wanted to see the TV show. Like, that was a thing. So we grew up with marketing bullshit just shoved at us all day growing up. So we can, like, I feel like this generation, and I think people these days, I don't want to say this generation, I think people, they can smell marketing BS and corporate BS talk a mile away. And they can also sense genuine authenticness as well. And I think it's far too rare and super appreciated when a developer or a maker of things can be honest and be like, hey, and really humanize themselves and be like, we're people making a cool thing. We want to make it the best we can. Like, and I think people are much more patient and especially if you can open up that process, ask for feedback, genuinely take it. I also think that's probably one of the secrets to Riot's success is they do that, you know, keeping that level of genuinity. Is that a word?
Is that it?
Sure. Genuinity.
I just made up a word. What's
That's
that?
good. That level of genuinityness. But yeah, and I think that's a smart tactic these days, because you can be so personal, and the level of communication, the tools that we have to communicate with our audience these days are so advanced that there's really no excuse that you should be. The companies that know how to interact with their fan base and their player base well tend to do really well, and they have fans for life. They have people that will evangelize them. When I say evangelize them, I mean like tell other people about this cool thing that these cool people are making. And that's really the most powerful thing you can do. The League of Legends had like zero marketing dollars back in the day. It was all word of mouth of college kids going, dude, have you played League of Legends? Dude, you should play this. You should play this. And that's where the brunt of their main player base came from in those days. And that really spiked their level of concurrency and made them attractive to companies like Tencent, and and got more development dollars because of that. So I think honesty and genuinityness are.
It's genuity, by the way. I just.
I think genuinityness is much better to say. I think that's the way forward. I think that's the way forward for all companies, and that's why and the thing that sucks is once I don't know what the threshold is, but there is a threshold that once you get past a certain threshold of money or perceived success, then it becomes cool to hate you. Have you guys seen this?
Yes, we definitely. I mean, I won't say that people hate. Maybe they do, but it does come with the opposite effect. We've definitely got people that don't like us. We've got people that hate us. We've got people that talk shit about it. But with anybody who's making a product, whether it be a big company or an indie company or two people, with honesty comes consequence. Yeah,
and and all of a sudden, like I know Riot. Riot was this cool, small, scrappy company, and people like loved them, and they could screw up. And people would be like, it's okay, Riot, we love you, we forgive you. And they'd be like, all right, we're going to fix the servers. And people would be like, totally, dude, I know Riot, they're cool, they'll fix it. I talk to them on the forums, they answer my responses, they're cool. And then over somewhere in 2012, it became cool to hate Riot. Like there were some people that were just like, yo, bad guy Riot, get off of your golden, get at your golden throne, ivory towers, and fix stuff, man. And people are like, hey, we're the same guys. We're literally the same dudes we were. And all of a sudden, it's just like there's a critical mass where it's like they think now you're a corporate, and now it's cool to hate on corporate things. But I think like companies like Blizzard and Riot, they're smart. They still, like, what was the big thing that went down with Jeff Kaplan? Did you guys see that over the Overwatch thing?
The Tracer's butt or the figurines?
No, where Jeff Kaplan got on Reddit. Someone made a snarky Overwatch post. They were like, do the developers even play their game? Like, blah, and like had all these like snarky things to say. And then Jeff Kaplan kind of came out, and he his tone was a little off. His tone was a little like, hey bro, like, you know what I mean? Like he kind of came off as a big guy talking to a little guy, and people were like, whoa, and he very quickly corrected that, and he swooped, he's like, whoa, I didn't mean, my tone was off. And then they ended up like hooking that dude up with stuff, and they were like, hey, we want to keep these channels open. We want to make sure that we're always professional, and we're always, and they sort of rectified the situation super fast because they know the value of developer-player interaction is super valuable. And when it's done wrong, it can be super damaging. When it's done right, it's super awesome, and everybody comes out happy. So it's something that at Riot they had us like Riot was neat because they would let every developer get on the forums and talk to players. But you had to go through this thing called red training, because you got a red name on the forums, and that would let everybody know you were a developer. And you had to go through this like kind of extensive, like it was almost like a week. It was like a whole work week where you had to sit down, look at case studies of player developer interaction and learn like what threads to stay out of, or how to defer expertise called in and help if you didn't know how to answer someone's question, that kind of stuff. How to keep it positive, or have the enough guts to admit when you're wrong, and sort of like get the feedback and how to go about it and become like that developer who listens and fixes a thing. That's so valuable. When someone says, hey, this thing's broken, and instead of going, yo, it's not broken, it's blah, or going, yo, hey, that is something that we could actually work on, we're going to talk, and then follow up, that's like huge. And that's something that's never been in the history of entertainment, right? Like in the 80s, you couldn't call up like the producers of Transformers and be like, hey, you guys are just really focusing too much on Rodimus Prime, bring Optimus back, because Rodimus sucks. And they go, oh, that's a great idea, Rodimus does suck, thanks for that feedback. No, dude, you couldn't do that.
I guess like on the other hand, I do appreciate the developers being vocal about like defending their choices, I think like
That's true.
I mean, Kojima is probably like a big one that is openly done this. But even if I'm not, and Hideo, if you're listening to this is not a slag to your work at all. But
listen to this.
Maybe he might. He might do.
Easy, Gavin.
He's into some weird shit, dude. I don't know.
The cool podcast, but not.
He's just like sifting through the history. He's like, that son of a bitch. But even being like a big Metal Gear fan or anything like that, like I got a ton of respect for the dude because like of how he defends like his work and the passion that he has for it, right? So I mean, obviously there's like, again, the rule of don't be a dick, but at the same time, like don't bend to the will of the internet, and so many people do that it's just that's equally bad,
That's a great counterpoint. I do think in this day and age it's easy. It's super easy for, I mean, holy shit, I've gone through this, right? Where you create a thing, you make a skin, you make a thing, whatever, and it's like one person on Reddit doesn't like it. And all of a sudden you have a dev manager breathing down your neck, or someone who's just kind of like, hey, someone on Reddit doesn't like it. And you're like, yo, dude, out of like 100,000 players or 2.5 million players, one person on Reddit. You know what I mean? Like we can tend to give a little bit of weight. It's okay to have an opinion, And I think you're absolutely right. It's easy to get bullied and it's easy to get swayed. But I think you gotta watch those channels, and when it turns, and if it's like one person saying it, you're like, okay, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people saying it, then you gotta like sit around and be like, hey, this might be a thing, right? Because I'm sure there's some cross section where like 10 people on Reddit equals like 200,000 people. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there's some metric that some producery dude has, producery person. But at that same time, like, I think it's perfectly cool, and I love it when producers can articulately state their case and say, this is why we did this thing. You may not like it, but this is the choice we made, and this is why we did it, and we're comfortable with that. Like, when a developer can do that and respectfully do that, I think most people are like, okay, I don't like it, but thanks for explaining why you did it, right?
Yeah, totally.
And I think some of the developers at Riot are really good at that. Because they make changes all the time. They make changes every season, and it kind of, because they always want to change the meta, right? And it's kind of it throws people into, people don't like change. So the game designers at Riot have become really good at articulating why they do a thing and doing it respectfully. So it's definitely something that we need more of.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, it's good. It's good to talk. It's good. It's really cool to talk with players, especially when they're respectful. And the developers are respectful and articulate. It's super rewarding, because then you get to meet those people. Like, those people will come and like track you down at like PAX. They'll find you and they'll be like, "Yay!" I used to go by Grumpy Monkey on the forums, and then I wear a shirt from Riot that had my Grumpy Monkey handle, and they'd be like, "Grumpy Monkey, dude, thanks for totally like replying to my thread and showing me stuff and blah blah blah." And I'm like, oh, I don't remember doing that, but dude, I'm super stoked that you got something out of it. You know what I mean? And then they'll remind me and I'll look through it. And like I said, it's just like, well, back to what we talked about in the beginning, like having those optics you may think that you're just a dude making games, but to some of these people, you're like living the dream, right? So if you come down all condescending and mean, you are representing your company and representing like what these people aspire to be in some respects.
Mm-hmm.
So
Dude,
if you, yeah.
I mean, I think it's like a lot of like what I enjoy about like going to like PAX, GDC, whatever, you know. I mean, that's like it's kind of like meeting like you from the past in a way, right? It's like the things that I love about what I'm currently doing is the things that you love about what you'll be doing in the future. You know, like this is like what we have in common. So I've never really got the whole like I don't want to talk to people, I don't want to like help them out or anything like that. I imagine like Troy and Layna, like you guys must have kind of the same thing, right? I mean, you've got like a fan base based off of like a thing that you're creating that both of you, you know, I know really are into and really enjoy, right? So you've kind of created this, you know, pack of people that all have like this common interest. It must be pretty rewarding to meet them, you know?
Oh, dude, you know what? It's actually something funny that we didn't. I think we told you when we met up with you in Little Tokyo there. But when just before, like maybe like 10 minutes before we met up with you, Layna and I and her friend were standing just across the road, kind of waiting at the lights at the crosswalk, and this big crowd of people kind of walked past, and there was this one dude that kind of looked over at us, and I kind of, my initial thoughts was, whoa, that was kind of weird. He was like kind of like looking at us for a little bit too long, but then he just kind of walked off, and long enough for me to notice that he was like paying attention, and then literally like 5 seconds later, he walks back around, and he was super nervous and super shy, and he was like, hey, are you guys I Has Toys? And we were like, dude, what the fuck? Like, yeah,
That's crazy, man.
Holy shit, dude! Like, we were like, yeah, man, like, what the hell? And he was like, oh, you know, yeah, I recognize you guys, and I just wanted to say hello, and he wanted to like take a photo with us and whatever. It was so bizarre, but because we were like, oh shit, do we know you from like our stream? Like, and he was like, oh, I don't really watch your stream too often, but I've popped in, so you won't recognize my name or anything like that. I don't really chat in the thing, but so this was just a dude who he recognized us, saw us. He's not even really kind of like, I guess like a diehard fan, but it was like cool enough for him to just be like, hey, you know, it's cool to meet you guys. Can I get a photo? Can I say? And I think at that time was when, like Layna and I later on that day, we were just like, holy shit, man! Like even, you know, that we realized that you are more than just what you put out there. You know what I mean? Like you never really know. Like in that crowd of crowds, man, there's just people who are paying attention. And
it's so weird, isn't it?
It is, man. It is, you know, like, and when somebody does point it out, you almost kind of expect to know them. It's just like, oh, you must be like one of the diehard fans or to like come up to us, but they're not. This was just like a dude who
someone
like,
who just enjoyed like sitting in on the streams, and you know, not even someone that you don't think about when you're streaming, because you only really think about the people who are talking and responding and having an interaction with you. But you like sometimes need to remember the people that are sitting, watching and listening, whether it's all the time or a few times. And it was enough to, you know, recognize us. It was cool. Shout out, by the way, to his name's Oni Nishon. If you're listening, you're a cool dude.
Oh yeah. I think that's part of it too, because it's like, you know, we might be doing a stream and there could be like 120 people watching, but out of those 120, there's like 10 people talking in the chat.
Yeah.
And it's always like the same 10 that we know really well, and we met some of them finally in LA just recently. But it's like those people, we're kind of just having this conversation going on, and there's this whole other like 100 people, man, who are dead quiet and they're not saying anything, but they can see the chat, they can see us, they can hear what we're saying, and we just don't know those people, you know. We never, you don't really kind of think about it, but I think that was the first time where we were like, oh shit, man, like there is more out there.
Yeah, I think I had been out of, so like I said, I took a sort of a year off of the game development scene, and then I went to GDC last year, or just the last GDC, and I was able to sync up with Gavin and a bunch of dudes, and it's just so neat to like, I don't know, it was super cool to have people be like, hey, you're Josh Singh, and I'm like, yeah. They're like, yo, dude, your work inspired me from like Dominance War back in the day, and blah blah blah. And I'm like, who are you? And they're like, oh, I'm a student. And they're like, and they're young. Like I said, I'm creeping up on 40, and these dudes are like, they're like 20 something, and I'm like, what? You must have been like 13 on Dominance War 2006, right? Like, you still like look at that stuff, and they're like, yeah, dude. That thing you did in ZBrush in like 2012 at Nomon, like changed my life. I'm like, what? That changed your life? Like, it's like, yeah, I didn't know what I wanted to do. But then I saw you like making that singed model at Nomon, and I was like, dude, I could do that. And I'm like, what? That was just a lark. That was just a thing I did because I wanted to do a cool thing at Nomon and get some like free stuff. I didn't realize I'd be changing lives. So it's like, again, you never know. You never know. And so that's why I think you got to tread carefully, man. You got to tread carefully. You got to tread with respect, because as the bigger you get, the longer you're in this game, the longer you are visible, the more people are going to be watching. And if you reflect negativity or exclusivity or any sort of negative thing, like that could you could mess somebody up, like I think I told you the story. Like I was at Riot and I gave a really harsh critique to somebody, thinking that we were peers, but this person looked up to me, and that person cried. They went home and they cried, and I was like, the fuck, dude? Like, I didn't know I had that much power to make someone like ruin someone's day by my like shitty critique, because I thought we were peers. I thought we were like, but come to find out, this person like, really, the things that I said to this person carried so much weight that this person was like questioning that they belonged to the Riot. They questioned if they, you know what I mean? I was like, no. So I really had to be like, hey, you're so awesome. Like, let me rephrase.
Like, no. When I get comfortable with someone, I just sound like a dick. That's just what I do.
Yeah, like, exactly. It's like, I like you. That's why I was, I thought I was comfortable around you. That's why I was a little more blunt. I'm so sorry. Like, that's, you know what I mean? And I just realized that, you can't. Sometimes you got to adjust. You got to take, as you get more visible and as you become more, you got to take a more mature approach. And those are things I'm learning as an art director as well. And those are things I learned at Riot. And it's, dude, even as a father and as a husband, these are things. It's like I think that's the leadership line. That's what they call the burden of leadership, is you have to conduct yourself a certain way because people are watching. And if you if you do the wrong thing, people will copy you, and then the bad things that you do will be your legacy. Everyone's gonna whatever shitty worldview you have, if you voice that, then everyone goes, huh, maybe he's right. And all of a sudden you got all these people mimicking the dumb thing, the negativity that you're spreading. But if you, and like I said, even like with my kids, like there are certain things I just can't do in front of them because I don't want them to parrot me. I don't want them to mimic whatever bad thing that I'm doing. I want them to be better than me. So I gotta be my best self so that they mimic that, and that's the challenge of leadership, is like, and I think and when I'm going to rewind a little bit, I kind of took a jab at Riot leadership that maybe too young or too inexperienced, but what they're trying to do is be their best self, because they know that if they mess up, that they don't want that negativity or cynicism or just sort of like disgruntled. They don't want any of that to turn into a disgruntled aura of the team. So they sort of clam up, right? Because they only want to be right. They only want to do the right thing, and it comes from a good place. But because they're not comfortable with themselves yet, they don't know who their best self is yet, so they resort to corporate speak and sort of disengaging from being one of the guys, right, or being being more buddy with people, because they just don't want to mess up, and I think that's a valid fear, and I have to sort of redact some of those statements because that's a valid that's a valid fear, and I do feel it when you have that brunt of leadership, that you got to be your best self, because if you're not, you're going to make a bunch of, if you're an asshole, you're going to make a bunch of other assholes, and all of a sudden the company culture is, it's okay to be an asshole because art director's doing it, right? Like, and so it's very similar to being a parent, right? It's very similar to, like, you know, I mean, I guess you have a dog, you have dogs, right?
Yeah.
If you're chill, if you're super chill, and if you don't punish your doggy, and if you use positive reinforcement on your puppers, then he's a chill doggy, and he loves you, and he trusts you, and he follows you around, and you can walk around without a leash, and you say, get in the car, and he gets in the car, and he's not, you know, and he runs out the house, you say, come home, and he comes home because he loves you and he trusts you, and he knows that you're you're being your best self around the doggy, and he responds to that. Whereas if I've seen it with babies, I've seen it with doggies, that if you're projecting negativity, fear, anxiety, they pick up on that and they reflect it. They reflect back onto you, and they become cranky, or they become mean, or they become aggressive towards other people. It's the same is true in humans, you know. Not to, you know, sort of lower the status of you, but like if you're in a leadership position and you're projecting that kind of energy, it reflects back on you. From the people that you're over.
I mean, I think habits are taught / like learned, you know, good or bad, right? I mean, I think all of us having joined like a team that was established beforehand, you know, I mean, you can see like bad habits that are already there that you're like, what the fuck? Like, why are you doing it this way? You know? And after a while, I think, you know, like you're saying, a lot of the times it's just, that's how so-and-so did it, and that's how it's been done.
Well, then you see the general manager, or you see the art director, or an executive, or a high-level producer doing it, and you're like, oh, that's why. That's why Associate Artist Bro is acting that way, because he saw, you know, he saw the big boys doing it, and he wants to be in the big boy club.
Yeah. So, I guess speaking of which, like, what have all of you learned not to do from your past? Like, what's like a big lesson that you learned, you know, a mistake from? Or learn from a mistake, I guess.
I'll go first. I think snap to judgment before you get all the facts. I used to be a hothead, you know, not even a hothead, but I was just, I wouldn't let people know that I changed my mind very easily, you know? So I said, hey, this is my judgment until I get more of the facts. Like, I wouldn't articulate that clear enough. So it would seem to people that I would just snap judgment without getting all the facts. So I learning to keep my mouth shut until I have all the facts, all the data, and I've heard all sides, and I can let it sit for a little while and try to understand where people are coming from, the intentions versus the output, all that stuff, and then making a decision, then chiming in with an opinion. Shooting off an uneducated opinion is something that I used to do all the damn time. But these days I tend, before I let my, and I probably did it in this podcast, to be honest, but something I'm trying to do, is to have more of an informed opinion before I share it. And like I said, people are going to be like, hey, dude, in like 10 minutes 23, he totally gave an uneducated opinion. Fuck him. So again,
what's going to happen?
Luckily, you're paired with me, which has been like 2 hours of a solid, uninformed opinion.
Yeah. So first of all, I'll say I'm perfectly fine with being wrong. I'd like to get all the data before I form an opinion. I respect people with informed opinions, and I respect people who don't share their opinion until they get an informed opinion. And I try to be like that. How about that? All right.
Cool. I mean, for me, I think it's learning the value of people's time. I think for a while, I mean, I not necessarily was like prideful of how much I worked, but there was definitely like I'm hard as fuck. I'm gonna crunch. I'm gonna put in all the time. Like, I'm always gonna be here. Blah 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 blah. And dude, like, I mean, I started like my career like that, and it was really brutal. But I don't think I ever really shook it until recently. I mean, I'm still like working a lot, but it's a lot of like on my own stuff and trying to like own, you know, like learn things and like own all the you know, shit that I'm producing, I guess. But regardless.
So do you mean you would like go hard and expect other people to go as hard as you?
Yeah. So basically what I'm getting at is like the idea, like I feel like that kind of mentality when you like push it onto other people is like super unhealthy. And I
Yeah.
think like at the time, like when I was younger, I saw it as like I'm
Badge of
fucking
honor.
like I'm fucking awesome. I can do that. Like I'm super tough and like I don't have to ever sleep. Blah blah blah. You know? And yeah, dude. I mean, until like recently, where now it's just like I mean, again, I don't think I'll ever work like a 9 to 5. I don't think I really know anyone that ever does, but you know, I'm seeing like how poisonous it can be, like to spread that kind of like philosophy on people, and that you know, like you're not part of the team if you're not here all the time and stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, for years now, it's been a thing that I'm trying to like, you know, push on my team and to like the company and stuff like that. So maybe I'll like
work-life balance, dude. It's a real thing.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like a complete fucking idiot because I'm sure like, man, like years, like I'm sure I've said it on like Facebook or Polycount or something, where I'm like I actually like Crunch, blah blah blah. You know, it's like are you
one of those guys?
Yeah. It's like what the fuck, like who the fuck are you trying to impress, dude? Like I don't know, but yeah, I don't know.
Crunch.
Yeah.
That's I've been there too, man. That's super valid.
Yeah, Lena.
I'm Layna for now.
Oh, okay.
I'm thinking before I speak.
You know what, man? I think for me, the one that comes to mind like real quickly is actually got to do with social media and like the whole kind of like online presence. And we've kind of like talked about it a little bit already, but I think something has to be said for you know, just being the kind of artist that's always been handing out this piece of information to everybody when everybody has like come to us and asked, oh man, like what should I do? What should I do? How do I get my art out there? And it's always been like, hey man, just do this, just social media, post your work everywhere, do this thing. I think that advice and everything that comes with it is kind of like, it's almost, it's not right anymore. Or it's not that it's not right. It's just it's not the most effective thing to do anymore. And I think, and the reason why I say that is can be like this whole other discussion, man, to be honest. But it's because it's so fucking saturated. There is a billion artists, and they're already all doing that.
Yeah.
And I'm doing that, dude. I'm doing that. We are doing that. That's what we're doing. But to kind of like throw that on a student right now, it's kind of like that. I'm pretty sure that student, male, female, it doesn't matter where in the world that they are, they're probably just like, dude, I'm doing that, but everybody else is doing that. How do I like stand out? How do I like do this thing? And where I'm kind of like going with all of this is that I've realized that I've come from this time where it was, when we did that, it worked for us. And I think I've applied that, and I've just gone, no, bros, this is how it works. This is how the fucking whole system works. You just need to do this, and it will work out for you. And I've pushed that for a long fucking time, dude. But I think recently I've had to kind of like dial back on that, and this is kind of fairly recently, that mentality, because I don't think that whole thing works anymore, man. And I think it's kind of like, it's almost a shitty thing for somebody like me to keep pushing, you know? So because it's almost useless.
Yeah. So my buddy, Paul Richards came and visited me over Memorial Day weekend. And if you know Paul, he's super opinionated, right? Like I love him to death. But the dude's super genuine, and he'll tell you what he really thinks every time. And he was telling me how much he hates ArtStation. And I was like, what? I was like, dude, ArtStation's fucking sweet, dude. Like, you can like see all this art, and people get like,
it's a station of art. How could you not like it?
It is literally a station of art. And he comes from this like sort of purist point of view, and he's like, dude, that wall of art that CG Hub popularized devalues the art. And I was like, okay. And he's like, yeah. He's like, check it, dude. Like, you just have a wall of awesome art, and it all just like homogenizes into one thing. Like it sort of devalues like the sort of like one-off intention, beauty of the art. And I was like, okay, dude, I can kind of see where you're going with that. I just alt tab like what I like and just look at it. But for him, he's like, no, he wants like old school, like, hey, this is a page, this is the art on the one page. Enjoy it, soak it in. This is my art. You know what I mean? That's his, and like that sort of thought process. I'm like, it's true, and it's to connect that to what you're saying, John. Like, it's flooded. It really is flooded, dude. Like, I can blur my eyes and look at that wall of art, and it's like very similar. Like everybody's sort of, it's a stew of ideas that's just sort of like gelling together. And honestly, like thinking about it, like if a student were to come to me today and be like, hey, how do I get in the industry? It's like, I don't know if I would tell them not to do it because it's kind of a necessity at some point to do it. But I would say that it's not all you have to do way more. And these days you really have to get the eyes and the attention of like someone in the studio, like that you want to work at, because that's really all you can do is somehow, some way, in a non-invasive, non-creepy, non-stalkery way, you need to meet the people that you want to work with, show them your art in a respectful, in a forum in which reviewing art is appropriate. Like, don't just approach them in the middle of GDC when they're reconnecting with buddies and say, look at my portfolio. But like, find a venue, go to every venue you can in which these guys are ready to look at art. They're mentally and emotionally engaged to look at art and give you feedback, and you got to go there. Like, and it's hard because it's super flooded, man. It's super flooded. And as an art director, as someone who's looking for artists, like I have my pick. You know what I mean? There's so much talent out there these days. There's so many people that'll do it. And dude, and I hate it this, but like but when you're a small company, you're looking for that magical formula of young, hungry student that can execute well and is not going to ask a lot for money. You know what I mean? And I hate that I'm that guy now. Like, but that's the business aspect of it. I think every artist should take a business class and understand the basics of economics. Because like, I think that's what helped me get so far in my career, is I understood just a little bit of the A's and B's and C's of basic economics of supply and demand. And I was willing to travel. I was willing to pick up my family and leave and go from state to state to state, studio to studio to studio, to work with the very best, to build my network up till it was like a rock solid network. And that's how I got where I was. There's an element of sacrifice that needs to go into it, and a lot of people won't do that. But the people that I think are, and again, I don't want to sound like this douchey art director, hardcore bro guy, but the guys who sacrifice are the ones who get it. The ones who are willing to move to the studio are the ones who get in the industry. If they're if they're like, yo, I just want to work remote, it's like that's not a thing. You got to be on site. You can work remote and contract. But guess what? You're not going to be integrated in the team and get full benefits. When you pack your bags and you move and you are on site in the studio, then you're integrated into the team and you get the full benefits of being in the game industry and building that network up. Like, and so like I moved my family all over the country when I was first started, from Boston to Texas to California and back. Like, and a lot of people aren't willing to do that, dude. So I don't know. Like I said, like it's hard to say. Like, what is the fail foolproof way to get into the industry? But I do know that personal sacrifice is involved to some extent, man. Like, we've all done it. You got to give up something, and a lot of times it's risk. You just got to, if you're not comfortable with risk. I wish there was a risk-free way to do it, but every possible way I'm thinking of to really get in the industry and achieve your dream has an element of risk.
Well, I mean, I think it's kind of the downside to working on a disposable thing, right? I mean, we're basically you're making toys for adults, and like one way or the other, it's not really like, I don't know, people need it, right? So it's kind of like this thing that you're doing because you're interested in it, and like a very small portion of the world can benefit from what you're doing. So it'd be different if it was like, I'm going to be a doctor. It's like, no, I don't really have to move around or do something like that. It's like, no, I want to work on a video game for like a company. It's like, well, there's 3 cities in America that have companies, so
Yeah.
like you gotta go there, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Layna needs to still tell us what she wants, what she learned. She's not off the hook.
Oh, the question was like biggest mistake, right?
Yeah.
Thing that you learned from.
Yeah. I mean, learning what not to do, I guess.
I think my biggest learning what not to do was definitely quite recently. And I think time and place is a huge thing, and especially coming from me, who's still an upcoming artist, and I'm fairly new, haven't been in the industry for like 15 years or a veteran or anything. I'm still learning to understand where I fit, and I need to properly evaluate the situation better, because when I specifically when I came into Weta, I was like just bursting with enthusiasm. I was so excited. I got hearts in my eyes and stars, and I just wanted to do all the things, raise my hand, call on me, please. I've got all these ideas, and it wasn't the right place. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, things are already situated the way it needs to be. Here's how to get the job done.
Yeah.
If I had taken the time to better assess the situation, I could have fit in a bit better. And I think that happens, and I would assume that happens a lot to other younger artists. You're a junior, you come into a new company, and you think you know the shit.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know the shit.
I mean, Layna, that happened to me at Blizzard, and I had had maybe 10 years under my belt at that time. And at Blizzard, I had all these ideas, and they were kind of like, yo, that's great. You have ideas, Josh. Get in line, because there's 500 other dudes that are smarter than you and that have been here longer, and their ideas are going to get heard before yours. And I was like, oh, that's how it works. I can't, you know what I mean? And there's a hierarchy there. Like, ideas, everyone's got great ideas. Everyone at Blizzard, everyone at Weta deserves to be there. They're all super smart, super creative, and super talented. How do you vet? How do you control the stream of ideas and the ability to affect change within the company or the project? Well, you got to go on experience in the company, and you got to go on how long the dude's been there, how long they've been waiting, loyalty, blah blah blah. I don't know. But it just feels like when you're the new guy, you got to wait your turn before you have an opportunity to affect real change and have something credited to you in terms of changing the organization. So
Totally.
I think it's like a matter of like learning the game. I mean, just because like you're a talented artist or whatever, I think like every company has its politics and things that you need to navigate around to,
Yeah.
Totally. That's the one thing I had no idea about. Very vaguely, because I was at Grinding Gear for a little bit, but everything was so like chill and chummy and hanging outy, and there was like almost no politics there. It was really cool.
I guess I don't think it's a thing they teach you in school either.
No,
like,
not at all. I vaguely hear about it, but the idea, the essence of what politics is, and the so-called playing the game. It's something I wish there was a way to teach, because it was so essential in that scenario and situation, and for all of us, whether you're a veteran or a lead art director or you're a junior, playing the game is so essential. And there's a part of me that I kind of hate it. That's why I like being here in the middle of nowhere in Hobbit land.
Yeah.
It's just Troy and I. So doing the politics thing is really hard, and if you step in the wrong direction, it could be quite bad,
So
depending.
So that's a great point, Layna, because like the political scenario or the political landscape at big companies, there's not a lot of, from what I've experienced, when you join a project that's already in flight, there's not a lot of problems to be solved. Whereas when I tell students and people looking to break in all the time, I say, dude, don't focus on the blizzards, on the valves or the riots. Focus on the small companies, because you'll have an opportunity to demonstrate your value there, because there's so many problems that they have to be solved, and how you rise up or how you become, how you play the game, so to speak, is you become seen as a problem solver. You become seen as somebody who can solve problems and thus demonstrate your value. And it's really hard in an established company on an established project if you're coming in after everything's been solved to be a problem solver. You just kind of like that, and that's why people say, oh, I feel like a cog in the machine. Well, because you are. You are a cog in the machine. You're not the hand that's operating the machine. You're the machine, you know? And when you come in on the pre-production side of things, you kind of get to be a problem solver. And once you, the funny thing about problems is once you solve them, you begin to own the process, and thus you begin to demonstrate your value to the project. So, you know, so I would imagine a place like Weta, you know, dude, you're working with geniuses. There's probably not that many problems that are huge pipeline issues to be solved. It's kind of like, hey, this is how you do it. This is how you do it. This is how you do it. And you're like, okay, I'm going to do it. You know, and same is true. I mean, Riot, you know, League of Legends, same thing. You know, it's kind of the project is in flight, but then a lot of the senior staff who love to solve problems went to the research and development side of things because that's what they love, and they know that where there are problems, there is opportunity. And if you can be someone who solves problems, that's fertile ground to make your mark, and thus be more valuable to the organization and sort of get all the perks that come along with it. So that's my remedy for the political game, so to speak. Go to a team that needs you. If you can prove that you're needed, you will be, you know, you will be in the cool crowd, so to speak. But if you're not needed, what you're doing could be, and I'm not saying what you're doing, but if the thing that you're doing can be outsourced or can be done by someone else, it's kind of hard to be, you know, seen as an indispensable part of the team. So yeah, where there are problems, there's opportunity. If you can solve that, then that's how honestly that's why I love working at Riot so much, is because when I joined the team, they needed me so bad. And I was able to solve a lot of problems, and because I was able to solve those problems, I then became part owner of the process, and then I was sort of elevated to the status of teacher, mentor, whatever. And you become someone integral to the team, and I need to be needed. And the minute that League of Legends got too big, and everything was sort of like all the problems had been solved, I was unhappy. I didn't feel needed anymore. And so I went to a research and development team at Riot, and then that was, you know, and then I was there for my last year at Riot. So I think I think people need to cultivate that. Like honestly, that might even be the way to like stand out from the crowd, right? Everybody knows how to normal map. Everybody knows how to make a character these days and put it in Marmoset or whatever. But if you can show that you know how to solve problems, right? If you can show that you know how to develop a pipeline and then teach that pipeline, that's like the next level to me. Like that's someone who's like, oh shit, this guy can not only make a sweet character, but he can teach others how to make a sweet character.
Yeah, I think it's like the reality of the job too, right? It's not just like making the pretty art. It's like the problem solving and dealing with the process and you know, setting up those like best practices for people. Yeah. Yeah.
Anytime I see an artist and he says, I didn't know how to do this, so I wrote a script, I go, what? You're an artist, 3D character artist, and you wrote a script?
Yeah.
Man, get over here. Give me a hug. We're gonna be buddies.
Yeah. Like, yeah. Always make friends with a tech artist.
Dude, no doubt. Yeah. No doubt. Hey, did we get any questions off Twitter that we want to go over before?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I don't want to keep you much longer since we're already past like 2 hours and almost 3 hours now. I know. This is go forever.
This is legit podcasting, bro. This is real.
Yeah. it's such a professional setup. Yeah, we got a few questions. So, if you guys want to close it out by like rifling through these a bit, then you know, go our separate ways.
Can you post a link? Yeah, do you have them all together?
Or? I'm trying to look for it. I don't see what
I
you.
can.
Wait.
I'm gonna copy and paste this.
Also, update. Twitter has now put your profile pictures in circles instead of squares.
Yeah, I know. It's terrifying.
Whoa.
Dude. Why has Twitter got to change everything?
I know, man. They just change this shit. So, all right. So the first question. It's kind of a mix here. Some like technical, some career stuff, and then some just us as people. I think we all watched E3. I definitely did, as you can tell by me spamming the fuck out of everybody about Spider-Man. Is there anything that got announced or that was shown at E3 that you're most excited about, other than Spider-Man, obviously?
Obviously Spider-Man.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's fair for me to say that because I mean, it's fucking obviously I'm more excited about one thing. But I think other than that, for me, it would be probably Anthem. I think.
Really cool.
And then I think I think it's called The Last Night. Last Night. It's like it looks like a side scroller. It's like a pixelated.
I remember that one. Yeah. That's
pretty cool.
Yeah. All right. So for me, it was Spider-Man, of course, dude. Obviously. But legitimately, I'm not just saying that. I was really impressed. If I wasn't impressed, I would have told you, dude.
You would have said it in a different way, like rather than being like Spider-Man, you'd be like Spider-Man.
Yeah, I would have been like, "Hey, dude." I would have been like, "Hey, are you having fun doing it? Well, good for you, bro." Like,
yes. Hey, man, you do you. You do you, bro.
Whenever my wife wears something that she's kind of iffy about, she'll come out and she'll be like, "Hey, Josh, do you like this dress?" And I'll be like, well, do you like it? Because that's all that matters. You know what I mean? Like, and she'll be like, that means you hate it. Oh, yeah.
Troy does the same all the time.
Josh, you just outed Troy.
Sorry, man.
Shit.
But that's the best thing to say.
We asked.
Skills, sneaky tactics revealed.
Sneaky man tricks. Well, if you like it, that's all that matters, sweetheart. Yeah. If you enjoyed Spider-Man, that's all that matters, Gavin. So, as long as you had fun developing it, you're getting paid. You're getting paid to make games, bro. Dude, that's all you can ask for.
Yeah.
You're making games. Sweet. Good job. Anyways, okay. I'd say So Spider-Man, legitly. Dude, I know it's gonna sound cheese, but like I was super pumped by God of War. Like, seeing it's just the little things. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm a dad, but like the father-son dynamic. And like they always did that with God of War. They introduced like that family dynamic, and it's like such a cool thing to do on such a generically like badass character, but then like to show that he's got all this guilt from his family and all that stuff, and then like to show that and now that like they're switching it up to like Nordic gods, and like, dude, that's like fertile ground. Also, as a character artist, I geeked out hard because I was like, ooh, okay, so Kratos, he doesn't have his chains anymore, right? He doesn't have his chains, his sword blades anymore. They better have put scars on his forearms. And I looked, and sure enough, he's got bandages up, but peeking up past the bandages, these little chain scars. And I was like, oh shit, they remembered that little detail. And I'm like, this is going to be good.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah,
that is cool, dude. I never noticed that. I didn't even think to check that.
Yeah. That's how you know that if the attention to detail, you're like, if they remembered that shit, they gave love to every other aspect of the game.
Yeah. All right, your turn. What do you think?
Monster Hunter World. Monster Hunter World. Yeah. Troy got me into Monster Hunter a few years back, and every year there's like new Monster Hunter. Oh look, another Monster Hunter, and the graphics to me pretty much are all the same. It's like they change things mechanics-wise and more monsters. It's great. But dude, this is the next gen Monster Hunter. I am so excited. It looks beautiful, and you're like interacting with the environment, and it just looks fucking sweet.
That's awesome.
So that's you wrapped up, dude. Yeah. You know what? Mine's actually kind of weird. I think. Like I was thinking about this quite a lot, and I think that the biggest news for me of all of E3 was the fact that I think fucking Microsoft made the ultimate decision with that backwards compatibility thing, dude. That's fucking... Dude, I've been talking about this for years, and I'm like, fuck, Sony needs to do this, dude. The next console that comes out, whoever out of like Microsoft or Sony makes a decision to open up their entire fucking games library to the newest console is going to be the king. And I was like, shit, dude, fucking Microsoft did it. I don't even own an Xbox. Yeah. We've got a 360, but we don't have an Xbox One.
Yeah.
And we're not going to get an Xbox One X.
Yeah.
So it's like,
I think it's the only way to like get people involved to get Microsoft, because they've kind of dropped the ball for many years.
That's huge, though. That's gonna do it, man.
Content is king, dude. Like the more content you can provide, you will win.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, that was the right move, dude. They fucking nailed it. When they announced that, I was like, holy shit, dude. They're gonna win this race. This whole like fucking this 4K bullshit, like ultra next step kind of thing, dude. They're gonna win it with that, and it's not even gonna really be about the 4K. It's gonna be about, there's this huge fucking 5, 6, 7, probably like over 1,000 games now, like library worth of Xbox 1, 2, 3, all the way up until now. You can play it on a 4K machine.
It's also weird.
Over, dude.
During the Microsoft conference, they had more anime-style JRPG, like cool Japanese-looking games than Sony. They had a bunch of them.
They had a lot of. They showed a lot of indie developers too. I'm not sure if it's like one of the same, but I mean I know they have their. It's like their @ID, like ID Xbox. It's like their their whatever system for helping out like indie developers with dev kits and stuff like that. So I know they featured like a lot of that in their conference too.
Yeah.
Oh, and the game from Wellington, the company that built that game in Wellington. It has no faces, pretty much. It's
Ashen.
Ashen, dude. Yeah, I think that to me as well. When I saw that, it's funny because a buddy of mine works on that game, and I had no clue that he was actually even in the country. So maybe he's not such of a buddy after all. So he hits me up one day out of the blue, and he's like, "Dude, I'm in Wellington. Let's get together." And I was like, "What?" I was like, "Where the hell are you working, dude?" And he was like, "Oh, I'm working on the Ashen game." And I was like, "Huh?" Like everything, like his art style, dude, is like ultra realistic. He's fucking a brilliant artist, but he's been doing like super real like monsters and dudes for like the last 10 years. And he's fucking awesome at it, man. And then he hits me up and he's like, I'm working on Ashen, and I looked at it, and I knew of the game, but I was searching for like new updates, and I was like, holy shit, dude, how are you, like, what is this? I don't see the connection here. And then after I saw the trailer, I was like, oh my god, dude, it's like stylized Dark Souls. It's like ultra stylized Dark Souls, and I can see it. I can see that this is like the next like phase for him. You know what I mean? Like his artwork, it's like, I'm gonna do all this ultra realistic sculpting, but now let's just apply some like fucking flat colors to it. Let's just see what that looks like at render. And man, it just looks fucking great, dude. So
that's so awesome.
That's cool.
It looks really cool.
Yeah.
What's up?
No, I was gonna say it's really cool when you work on projects that shift your art style, that like make you grow. Like that happened to me at Vigil. Actually, that happened to me at 38 Studios. I sort of developed my own voice in terms of style, and then at Vigil, I sort of took on the Joe Mad style a little bit and threw it in there. And then at Blizzard, I just hanging out with like Pure and like Renault and Mark and Vadim, just sort of like cleaned everything up and like gave me that eye for detail to just make sure everything's like tight and clean. So it's like it's really cool how when you can work on projects and have it evolve you. That's a cool feeling.
Yeah. Totally. So this question: what are the artists that inspired/inspire you? Josh, you want to go first?
I don't know, man.
I'll
pull like a Kanye and be like, I'm inspired by myself.
Shit, yeah. I can go and get you.
You go first.
So for me, I'm not an art nerd at all. I don't really know a ton of like traditional artists or anything like that. A lot of it is through like fantasy art and things that I consumed when I was a kid, like games or like fucking D&D and stuff like that. So for me, the three major ones are Frazetta, Bisley, and Paul Bonner. And beyond that, man, like a lot of what I'm doing now is based off of, kind of like guys like you, like people that I came up with, like, Josh, Troy, like Kite, Spark, you know, basically anybody who'd be like the early days, like Polycount and before that, you know, like on like mod communities or mod forums and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's like really probably my more major inspiration, technically, and then like stylistically it would be like Paul Bonner and Frazetta and, you know, those kind of guys.
Dude, yeah. Jeez, it's so hard to say who you're inspired by these days because there's just so much stuff.
Dude, it's like the ArtStation thing, right? I mean, we're like actively consuming just shit like all the time. Like there's like always good art being posted everywhere. I can open like Facebook right now. It's just like fucking sculpts like up the wazoo. So you know, so you can't escape it. You know,
it's really hard. And so I would say that more than art. So I'm not okay. This is gonna sound weird, but like I'm not inspired by art styles anymore. I'm inspired by artists' lives. Does that make sense? Like, I know,
it totally does.
I know the guys that can do, like, everybody can do like a really hot anime chick, or like they can, you know, mimic Joel Jurion or mimic, you know, the Overwatch style or anything. It's no, for me, it's no longer about execution of art, because it's people, we got people executing at such a high level, and it's so common. You know, well, it's not so common, but it's more common than it used to be. I'm more inspired to see guys like Dominic Queck, you know, who are trying new things. Like, this might lead into the other one, but I'm watching a video of him right now on Facebook doing VR sculpting. And I'm still the verdict is still out for me on VR sculpting. So I'm just gonna skip to that question real quick. But at the same time, I'm like, the dude is trying new things. He's up on new tech. He's experimenting. He's not afraid to suck at something for a while. Guys like Anthony Jones, you know, like some people, you know, he's got the robot pencil stuff. I know some people think he's like, you know, well, he's robot pencil. But like, I love guys like him that try new things. He's not afraid. Artists who aren't afraid inspire me. Artists who aren't afraid to try new things, to suck at something, like be well known and be really good at one thing, and then say, screw it, I'm doing this other thing. And he got into 3D and sucked, and he's like, I know I suck, but you can see the spark of like, he knows his shit, like it's gonna happen. And to see see an artist power through with his skill and talent and perseverance into a new style or a new thing, whether it be business, a new medium, it's inspiring to me. You guys with your business ventures, like, it's inspiring to me. Like, that's like seeing guys like Adam and his Astroneer project. Like, that's that's the inspiring thing to me. To me it's no longer about making good art. It's making an impact, and it's the artists that are making impacts on the next generation of artists, or showing them how to do things. Like, that's what I aspire to. Like, that's to me, that's like the ones who are just brilliant teachers. Those guys inspire me, because that's a much better legacy to me than making a nice, like, the days of making a Mona Lisa iconic piece of art. Like, I don't know if I'll ever do that, man. But I might be able to affect someone's life and show them how to achieve their goal, right? Or I might be able to at least inspire somebody just by being visible with what I'm doing, to make, oh, that's how Josh did it. I can, like, this is gonna sound really shitty, and if he's listening, if he ever listens to this, I apologize. But dude, Samwise Didier, right, at Blizzard, you guys know that guy. Dude, I remember looking at the Diablo 2 manual, and I was a senior in high school, so it was like 1996, and I saw that, and I was like, I could do this. I was like, I could draw like this. Dude, if this guy could do it, hell, I could do it. And it gave me, and that's kind of a shitty way to get inspiration. But like, I was like, dude, this is just like notebook drawings, man. I draw this in my notebook in math class all the damn time. Like, him and Metzen, I'm like, shit, I can do this in my sleep. So I was like, if they can do it, I can do it. So to be self-depreciating again, like, or deprecating, or I don't know what the word is, but to sort of put that shit on myself. Like, if people could look at me and be like, dude, Josh isn't all that great, and look at all he's achieved, I can fucking do it. Like, you know, excuse the profanity because I was like kind of like supposed to be inspirational, and then my kids will hear it. Like, gosh, you don't.
It's like, fuck, shit, look at Dad. He can fucking talk like that. I can fucking talk like this shit.
Maybe you could bleep that out because my kids will probably listen to this. Like, you know, but if you could be, if you could take such a small amount of talent and grow it into something big, like that's good to me. And that's, to me, I hope that would be like my legacy. It's like Josh didn't have a lot, but he did something with it, you know. And those are artists that inspire me. So they're the ones who, like, they're really good in one thing and they take it all the way and then they expand it into another arena. So sorry, that was a long-winded thing, but that's how I feel.
That's awesome. Troy?
I'm just gonna agree with Josh.
Yeah.
That kind of sucks because I was going to say something similar as well. But okay,
Hold on, wait.
I'm going to add.
Wait, I'll just add a little thing. I do agree with Josh totally about being inspired about seeing what other people are doing, because I think that's what's pushed us and I have toys for. It's just to continuously see what others are doing and think to ourselves, we should and can do that too. But regarding to like being inspired, I say this all the time, Troy. So don't think I'm a dummy. But genuinely, in artists in particular, I really have been inspired by Troy's art since before I even knew who he was. Like the actual human person, I knew his like name on Polycount for a long time, and I followed you for a long time. This sounds maybe a little bit stalkerish, but you've been the most like inspirational as far as emails to me all throughout school. And you still are. Like, it's incredible how much I learned from making a mistake or struggling on a piece of artwork, and then he'll come and sit and show me how to do it better, how to do it. And to me, that's inspiring because he was able to open my eyes to something, to how to do it or how to do it better. And just like peeking over at his screen and him doing all sorts of like genres of artwork it's inspiring to me. And I don't know if anyone fits the bill for me as far as artists in that area.
Wow.
Oh,
Troy.
Oh.
Get a room.
I mean, I don't know. We do have Josh here. I mean, it's kind of a short trip, but whatever. That's cool.
No, it's cool. It's cool. Me and Gavin will just sit here while you guys.
No. It's cool. All right. I get it. That's fine. It's fine.
That's cool. It's fine. No, it's fine.
I'm fine. Don't touch me.
Yeah. So when we first met, she actually showed me this huge folder of artwork of mine.
Oh my god!
With all these whips and stuff, and I didn't know whether or not I should feel like, fuck, is this like a crazy stalker? Like, what is this? It was kind of funny actually. It was like every single piece of artwork I had uploaded everywhere onto like obscure websites and stuff, and I was just like, holy shit.
Well, okay, to be fair.
It's like a devout fan.
No, to be fair, I didn't know who you were. When Troy and I first started talking, I had no clue he was Hazardous.
Yeah.
No idea. He was Jon Troy Nickel on Facebook. So it wasn't until much later after we were talking, and I was like, wait, are you fucking Hazardous? Is that you? And then
the end.
That's funny, but that's also very flattering. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyway. Okay, yeah. So mine. Let's just sweep that aside because this just.
It's sweet. It's
dude,
sweet.
If you say Lena's your inspiration, I'm gonna lose my fucking mind right now.
We're done.
I can't handle it.
We're gonna kick you from the podcast.
Yes, like that's it. Hey, Character Art Podcast, episode 12, starring Gavin and Josh. That's right.
Nah, man. So mine. I think mine is kind of really similar to Josh's, and I think I've only really made that transition like maybe in the last like year or two. And I think honestly, man, I think it does go back to the ArtStation thing because, dude, I open up my Facebook feed, my Twitter feed, ArtStation, and it's fucking people I have never met. I will probably never meet. They're just god tier artists, man, and it's just one after the other, just banging out these amazing pieces of art. And I think over the last year or two, just seeing insane art day after day has just kind of left me with this feeling of just like, fuck, dude, there are so many good artists now, and I'm kind of immune to it. I'm like almost there's this kind of like immunity that's just raising. It's just getting higher and higher and higher, dude, and it's getting harder for any piece of art to kind of like stick up a bunch, just to like hold its ground above everything else. So it's very rare that I'll like scroll past, I could be scrolling past like literally art that would get you into any game studio on the planet right now, and I'm just like, yeah, whatever. and then I would see it would take a piece of art that has got like, it's something more, man. It's more than just a technical piece of like brilliance. It's like there's got to be something more than that. It's got to be like either it's representative of the person themselves. It's got a lot more of them in it. It's got a lot more of it's like it's an image that's telling a story rather than just a technical breakdown. And I think it's only because, like I said, it's reached like saturation point of brilliance, and it's really, really hard to like stand out in that anymore.
Dude, you know what? I think it's the digital art, man. Like,
yeah.
I don't respond well to digital art anymore. I respond well to physical, real life art much more powerfully than I do digital art. And I was talking to Paul about this, and it's because and I'm not going to say that it's easy, right? But I'm going to say that I get emotionally invested in like a beautiful marble sculpture, right? Like if I go to an art museum and I see like just something amazingly carved in marble or stone or bronze, I'm like, that took sacrifice and passion and suffering to create, and that resonates with me. Whereas if I see something on Facebook and it's like a ZBrush sculpt and it's like a time lapse and they're like, took 4 hours, took 30 minutes, and I'm like, yeah, it doesn't resonate with me anymore. I'm just like, yeah, I've seen behind the mirror, I've seen behind the curtain. I know, you know what I mean? That there has to be, and that's why why seeing artists do new things and stretch themselves resonates with me, because there's an element of, like, I was talking to Paul about this again. I bring up Paul Richards all the time, like we're best friends or something. We are best friends, but he's my buddy. But like the word passion comes from the word suffering, right? Like if you go back in like the Latin of the Greek of the whatever, the ancient word, the word passion comes from the same word that meant suffering. That's why you get the passion of the Christ, right? Like, because the suffering of the Christ. So when you have passion for something, you're suffering for it. You have suffered and sacrificed and experienced pain to manifest this thing into reality. So when I see digital art that required very little suffering, then I have to assume that very little passion was involved. And that might be a wrong assumption, but that's just what I feel. Whereas I see something that was created, when I see these guys making 3D prints and making molds and having failures and going through it, I'm like, that's suffering, that's passion. I respond to that and I respect it, and it's something that I aspire to, that you love it so much you're willing to suffer and go through that pain for it. And I think, to me, that's why it was so enamoring in the beginning days, because we were learning how to UV map, we were learning how to do things right, and a hand painted texture that took time. We would geek out on the Doom textures and the stuff that that these guys were making, that was just amazing, because we knew how hard it was to make, and we knew that it wasn't just this fast thing, but it took actually time, and your hand would cramp up, and you had to go Alt Tab back and forth to Photoshop to Max, Photoshop, and we knew the tedium and the suffering, and thus the passion in which it took, and that's why it was so great back then. And again, I don't want to be all back in my day, but like, it just seems too easy these days. So I don't respond to it as well.
I totally agree with that, man. Yeah.
Can you touch quickly on the topic of like posting how much time something took? I still don't understand that.
I don't know.
Like, is there some sort of positivity of doing it in 30 minutes versus 4 weeks,
I think it's just flexibility. I think it's just Just flexing your EP.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's like a misconception, like maybe they teach it in like school or something like that, but that you gotta like bang things out like fast, and if you're like really fast at making something, then oh my God, you're hired immediately, right? But fuck, dude, I mean, I can't think of something that I saw that was super impressive that also was like I made it in an hour. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've never had someone that's like, you're really good. Oh my God, and you bang it out so quick because, like Josh was saying, good shit takes time. It takes like suffering. Well, I mean, I take something very elegant that you say and make it sound like like a trucker, but you
gotta suffer for it.
You gotta suffer for it. Come on, you gotta man up. Come on,
gotta man up.
But I mean, like, good things take time, right? I mean, you can't really rush it, and you got to pay your dues, and that's how you get good. Get good, dude. And and again, I've never seen that pairing. I've never seen something that's like, oh my God, this is fucking great, and it only took 40 minutes. What is this magic? Like it just doesn't happen. It's always like sorry, I was just gonna say it's always like no offense to the internet, it's always like a mediocre sculpt that's like, and it only took. It's like it looks like it.
See, whenever I see whenever I see traditional artists do that, they're like, yo, here's some figure studies, 15 minutes, and there's a ton. What they're doing in speed, they make up for in volume, and I'm like, that's impressive. You churned out like 20 exquisite figure studies, and I can tell the gestures look quick. You didn't, it looks like you banged it out. You had good line discipline, good line weight. Hell yeah, I can see that. I can see that. I can see that the hours of preparation and practice that have paid off, so this guy can capture a gesture very quickly off a life model, right? It just doesn't translate to ZBrush. It doesn't translate to 3D to go, hey, look, I did this off of reference, or I remember they were trying to do like life sculpting in ZBrush, and like all you could really do is make a bunch of primitives and then pose them, as fast as you can. It just doesn't. The translation, the elegance, something gets lost. And I don't know how to describe it, but again, I think there's something, there's a disconnect there. The discipline shows, the discipline and the hours of practice. When you see a skilled life drawing guy capture gestures in like 5-minute sections, and you can tell they're done quick, but the lines are just on point. There's just something elegant and awesome about that. But then when somebody does that in 3D, it's like, not the same to me. Anyway. So I feel like we kind of like answered that question. The best way to get your name out there, other than just always doing your own work, personal work constantly. I know, like just to recap, didn't we say like don't just go to ArtStation, don't just post there. You gotta like capture the eye and the attention of someone in the industry who can get you there. Like I think that's really the secret. And it used to be really easy, and now it's hard. Like that's all I can really say. Like it used to be really easy to say, hey, yo, Bobo, can you show my stuff to your art director? And he'd say, yeah. And then the art director would be like, yo, we want to get you in this. And like that's how it worked for me. That's how I got into Iron Lore. Iron Lore is I was doing a CG Chat challenge back when CG Chat was a thing. Bobo goes, hey, these are cool. I PM Bobo and says, yo, I saw you have a job opening at Iron Lore. Will you look at my Angel Fire portfolio and give it to your art director? And he says, sure. He does it. I get a phone call a week later. Phone interview, and then I move out there. I got the job. That easy, because it was so small. This industry was so small back then. These days, it's like, dude, it's like, whoa, there's like so many people and there's so much stuff. Like, you really got to be doing something a cut above. And I think whenever an art director or someone in the industry reaches out to you, like that's like, just give them, like, take it seriously, because that doesn't happen very often.
You had touched on it before, but another question is sculpting in VR. Have you ever done it? Do you see it as a viable future? For me, I've never tried it, but I honestly don't really want to. One, I get motion sickness, and I don't really want to pair that with trying to work. The other one is that, like, I have, and this is like fucking weird flat earther shit, but It bums me out to think of a studio that consists of people in headsets not talking to anyone and not collaborating and just like fucking moving around in their workspace sculpting. Like that image to me is really depressing. And you know, it's like to me, it's like that's like you might as well be like in 12 Monkeys at that point. You might as well be in this like weird fucking like dystopian future shit. So like I think maybe it's just because of my age and not getting fidget spinners and shit like that. But like I think you have to be around people, even if it's in like an office where you can like look at the other person or open whatever you're in, like your fucking open air thing or whatever, man. I think it's like an isolating activity that kind of goes against what you should be doing.
I can see that for sure. Like when you're supposed to be in a collaborative game development environment, I can see your point.
But I mean, I'm sure it's fucking cool. You know what I mean? I'm like, you can sculpt in VR. I mean, the future is now, right?
It feels like a novelty to me. Like again, it looks like something I would do for fun that I might do for personal work just because it's maybe just to shake things up, right? Like, I don't know, sculpting with my left hand. Like, I don't know. Like, it doesn't seem like, to me, it doesn't seem like a viable production method for characters. Again, it just seems like another, it's just again, I'm not trying to diss on it. I think it's neat. And it may have like, I can see it being like a viable path to like teaching medical students how to do operations. I don't really understand how it would make me make a better like character to do it in VR. Maybe if I was an environment artist and I was making a thing, like that would be kind of neat to like walk around your gray box area and sculpt it. Like, you know, that would be dope. And especially if you could hook it up to the rest of the environment team and you could all be in there together, working together like a construction crew, that would be dope. But they don't have that yet. So whatever. So I don't think VR is a thing yet.
I kind of think it's just a distraction, especially if people that are young and early on trying to learn. VR is definitely not the best place to start or think of it as a good idea. I think there's already so much to learn just in like ZBrush or just in Maya. That, you know, the focus should be elsewhere, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't think it's a viable. It's a novelty to me right now. It doesn't seem like something that would be conducive to getting professional work done quickly and efficiently. So,
yeah,
all right,
I'm the same. I'm the same as Gavin. I'm the same as Gavin, dude. I get motion sickness, so that's me out.
Yeah.
You're a flat earther, just like Gavin.
Just like me. I don't know if I told you, dude, but I listen to Conspiracy Theorist podcasts just to be mad. like I'm actively listening to them at work just so I am like on, you know, just fucking raging constantly. Anyway,
you're like the Alex Jones but like of the left.
Dude, and it's like weird because I think I'm at the this is like fucking derailing from everything. I don't know why I do this, but I would rather listen to that than listen to things that I agree with constantly. So like, you know, that's like I can do that. So I mean I can listen to like podcasts. They're like, you know, fucking hey, you like liberal left wing art guy, like and like it's like, oh, you appeal to me so much. Or I can listen to like just fucking nut jobs going off about like lizard people under the earth,
dude,
like,
totally
shit like that. I'm like, yeah, like that's
like crying. I love it when he cries.
Oh yeah, I love it. I don't agree with it at all, but it's like that's another side. That's another side to humanity that I do not agree with.
Yeah, you're kind of like so that's how it is over
like
there.
My thoughts have been challenged. My whole belief system has been challenged.
Oh, dude. That's we should get. I love a good conspiracy theory, dude. We should get together and just talk about.
Sure.
Talk about how big pharma wants to keep us sick.
Oh fuck, they do though. I mean,
I know.
I mean, all right. Dude. My girlfriend cut her like hand open making avocado toast, and like we got filtered into this like this hospital that cost like $500. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, big business.
Wasn't it because she needed to go to a place that had the specific insurance? Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's horrible. You can like cut off your arm and
That's
not
the
the phone.
thing. I think we were talking about when you guys came, but like she cut it open, and like she's on the phone trying to like find who takes her insurance, and like I'm so impatient that I was like, fuck it, let's just go, and like got into a car, drove to the nearest like clinic, and just paid for it like out of pocket, just because I'm like I would rather just do it instead of like. It's like I don't know. It's ridiculous. Just be like sitting there like bleeding out on the phone.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But hey, just one last thing. One last thing. I'm gonna call it right now, dude. I guarantee you, something's gonna come out where they're gonna say fidget spinners cause arthritis, like metacarpal syndrome, or some new thing. They're gonna be like, yo, the sort of effect of fidget spinners upon our youth. It's causing their eyeballs to spin. Or, I don't know. They're going to increased rate of astigmatism of lazy eyes. I don't know. They're going to say
it's
something.
The latest craze that kids are calling fidgeting. Is it related?
Fidgeting.
Is it related to Singh? I don't know. News at 11.
News at 11.
Yeah.
And human trafficking tonight at 11.
Yeah.
What?
So speaking of demonic worship, Troy, the next question is, when is the next Retrogasm competition?
Dude.
Oh shit! This is actually something. So, we actually had planned to kick this off when we got back from our US trip, and
ArtStation.
And now ArtStation has just dropped a whole bunch of competitions, and we're just like, fuck, dude! It's like there's one competition after the other now, and I'm not sure when we want to like.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Want to do this.
I feel like it had like an underground appeal, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I think
that's
like
do it anyway. Just do it anyway.
Yeah, just do it.
I don't want to take away. I know lots of people take lots of weight in doing the ArtStation competitions. But there was such a big one that just finished, and I did not foresee another one right back to back. We were already like writing down what we were going to do and announcing it when we came back. But I know some people get real pissy if there's too many going on at once.
I think if you hit that sweet spot where you make the specs just light enough to where it's doable, because competition fatigue is a real thing. Yeah, and like ArtStation just got done with a huge one, right? Like
and they just announced a new one.
Yeah, if you make the Retrogasm contest super lightweight, I don't know, maybe you lower the specs, maybe you narrow down the criteria so people can just execute. Like if you make it a very cool, leisurely, like chill comp, I think that would be fun. I think you might hit that market. But there's a demographic that wants that the ArtStation Challenge might not be serving. Just a thought.
Okay.
No, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah. I was going to ask you guys about it anyway, what your thoughts were.
Yeah.
I think, before I even asked you, that the winner from last year should be one of the judges.
Oh, man. I wanted to enter again. All right, I'll be one of the judges.
Oh, really? Never mind.
I think Josh is onto something. I think like the last winner has to fight. So I think like you have to keep going, and then you've got to beat like the next fucking crop of people. So it's it's like King of the Mountain,
Yeah,
that's a good idea. Like King of the Hill art-wise.
Just keep it going. Yeah, that would be fun to defend my title.
Yeah. You're like the Conor McGregor of character art.
Yeah.
So now you better start talking shit now. So
I know. I got a sweet tattoo on my chest.
Yeah, dude, I've got it. I've got the tattoo.
Yeah.
You can talk shit. So together.
Yeah. You can be my hype man.
yeah, exactly.
You'd be like, yo, step right up, get your craniums cracked by Josh Skull Crusher Singh.
Yeah. Exactly.
Step on up, fools.
Yeah. All right.
I'll just be sitting there in the back in the shadows, like with my Wacom stylus, like.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Next question.
Next question.
For me, why can't I find any download links for the podcast? It's because it's fucking YouTube. Not yet. But you can always just copy the link and convert it to an MP3 and download it. I don't really care.
What can I find? No. Is it important to be a good gamer to get a job? Have your colleagues respect in a game studio. Did we kind of answer this like with our like
kind of, yeah,
culture fit stuff?
yeah. I mean, I don't think it's like really a non-hireable like offense or whatever, right? I mean, I think like as like a game developer, it might help to play just so that like you kind of, you know, have a head about like what's you know popular, what works, and things like that. But I mean, I think it's, I don't know. I don't think you can really be like, hey, do you play our games?
Yeah, I think it depends on the position you're going for, right? Domain knowledge of the game is different in different positions, right? If you're going to be QA, you absolutely need domain knowledge of the game you're working for. If you're a character artist, you need to know the fundamentals. You know, you need to know the specs, and you need to know the style of other games that are out there, and so you know, but comparatively what you're dealing with. Animator, same thing. You know, I don't think you need to actually play it, but you need to know what's out there and understand the style. I mean, if you're going for a producer, like sort of managerial, you know, if you're going to like more of a timekeeper position or something, I think that, I think domain knowledge is still important. Yeah, dude. Yeah, I think the answer is yes. It is important to be a good gamer to get a job. I don't think you got to be a good gamer. Like, you don't have to be like, yo, I beat every game. Like, I get on like nightmare level, nightmare mode. You don't got to be that guy.
Your resume is just like your gamer score.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be that, but you got to be well versed. You got to be well versed in market. I think if you're well versed on market conditions, games within the genre, and you can compare them to one another and be like, yo, I think this game's better than this game because X, Y, Z. But they're all like in the MOBA genre, right, or the fighting game genre, or the platform fighter genre. Like, you understand the genre in which you're going for, and you can speak with authority to or you can speak with confidence on how things are better and different, and how you can apply those things to the game that you're applying for. Like, that's what I would think. Like, that's what a gamer is to me, is someone who loves, just like a movie buff, is someone who understands like how movies work and how movies are made, and how directors and actors and casting agencies all intertwine, and how relationships are formed. If you know that about the game industry, to me, that's more of a gamer than someone who's like, hey, I beat, you know, Dark Souls 50 million times on Nightmare mode. It's like, cool, but do you know who made Dark Souls? Do you know the team? Did you read the credits? Did you memorize? Did you like look at the lead artist and see if they had an art station, so you could like that's the kind of dude, right? It's like that's the kind of dude you're looking for. Like, so like domain knowledge is more than just beating the game. It's knowing the market and knowing the genre. Like, that's the kind of knowledge you need to get the respect of your colleagues at a game studio, in my opinion.
I mean, I think like in addition to that too is like when if say you actually have the job, being like involved in the game that you're making, you know, like either through like play tests or something like that. Like for my team, we do like a group play test like every week. So even if it's just like sitting around looking at the thing that you're making, to me that like gets you way more respect than the guy that just sits in his office and doesn't, you know, he just fucking, you know, makes awesome art all day and just doesn't pay attention to anything. That does make a difference. That does make a difference to me. So like knowing like what you're making things for, and you know, on like a technical side, I think it helps inform your decisions too, right? Like where you're going to put details, the kind of like palettes that you're using, like the type of silhouette you're going for, like just knowing context, right? And the best way to do that is to play the game.
Yeah, I know lots of guys that know how to make really great art, but they fail to make really good art for the game that they're working on. You know, they just like bust out something awesome, and everyone's like, yo, that's too much detail. You know, that would have worked for like Darksiders, but it won't work for League of Legends. You know what I mean? And so, and they either adjust or they get asked to leave. Like, it's rough, but you got to make art for your game that you're working on.
Yep.
And then,
so last.
I'm sorry, what was Layna saying?
I said
Layna,
just do your homework, I reckon. Even if you don't play games, I think it's safe to say don't ever announce that if you're like trying to get hired. Don't be like, I make art, but I don't play games, because I feel like that's a big no-no. Unfortunately, even if you can make really great art, but you're not so much into games, but you're applying for a game job, it's probably not the best thing to say. And even beforehand, even if you don't play games, to just actually look into the game that it is you're applying for.
Dude, I don't know how many students show up at GDC portfolio review, and I say, what games do you play? And they say, I don't play games. And I'm like face palming a million times going, dude, then what are you doing? You don't play games, then why do you want to work in the game industry? That's like saying, I don't read books, but I want to be a writer. I don't like movies, but I want to be a director. Like, dude, show me that you have a love for the industry before you know what I mean? Like, and sometimes they're even proud of it. They're like, no, I've just been too involved with my studies to be playing games. I don't play games. You know what I mean? I don't play games. I'm super serious, like, student. And I'm like, well, what games did you like to play before you got super serious about your education? And then they're like, oh, I don't know, like Super Mario.
Really?
I play Super Mario with my brother. That's my generic. Everybody who says that, I know so many people that say that. Literally, I play Super Mario with my brother back in the day. But like that's they all say that. I'm always like, really?
Yeah.
Played Super Mario Brothers with your brother. Okay, cool. Cool domain knowledge, bro. Yeah.
All
right.
So last question. And it's a tough one. I mean, I'm definitely saving the the best for last, I guess.
Yeah.
How many push-ups can you do?
I mean, that's a trick question, right? Because like in one go,
right?
Like in one go, or like over a day? Because like,
no, it's like I'm assuming it's
in
one
your
shot.
lifetime.
Yeah, man. I mean,
like unbroken, unbroken. Like I can't like take a rest on my knees. I gotta like, I can't like go.
Right.
Okay,
that's my assumption. I mean, it's either we got to go one way or the other. Either it's one shot, or it's like Lena's saying, like an existential crisis of like how many push-ups can you do for all eternity.
Well, I can answer both. Okay, I can answer both. So I think I can do 50 push-ups in one go.
Whoa!
Yeah, but I gotta change grips. It's an old army trick, right? So I'll start out with my hands, like normal push-ups until I get tired, and then I'll put my hands out like I'm a seal. Like think of like a seal, right? And I put my hands out like a seal, and then I can do like another 10, and then I can put my hands inside like I have pigeon toes, but my hands are pigeon toed, and then I can get like another 5 or 10. And then by that time, my pecs that were doing the original position have a little bit of a rest, and then I can go back to my normal ones and get the rest of them out. So it's not like 51 a second. It's like 25 to 30, and then like I can rest in the upright position. I think you can rest in the upright position because that's how you can do it in the Army. So I'm going to say that you can do that.
Sure. I'm going to assume that this random Twitter question is using Army rules.
Yeah, this is Army rules. So upright position is like a plank, right? Like a plank with your arms out. I'm like doing it. Like you can't see my camera, but I'm actually like doing it. I'm so stupid. Anyway, like you can see. Anyway, so I'd have to do that, rest like in the upright position, plank position, and then change my arm position, and then I can crank out probably like another 25 to 30. So 50, I could say, I think with confidence I could do 50. Now, if you give me a little bit of a rest, I could probably do 200. But that's if you like let me like bust out like some and then rest on my knees and like stretch my arms and then go back and do some more. I could probably do 200 and then after that, because I did a CrossFit workout called Murph, and like you got to do 200, but like you got to do a bunch of pull-ups and squats in between that, which is kind of a rest. But I think I could do 200 if you give me a little bit of a break in between sets. But I won't get on my feet. I'll stay on my knees and just like rest it out, and then like go and do it again, and then rest it out. So yeah, I don't know, maybe more than 200. I've never tried it. Maybe I should try it sometime.
I think GDC 2018.
Dude, they did that. There was a thing at PAX. They were like I think the Army was there, and they're like, hey, if you do 10 push-ups, you can get this free game. And I did it.
Fuck, really? I mean,
yeah, I know, it's dumb. I don't know. I just felt like doing push-ups. Sometimes you just feel like you gotta do some push-ups. Like I don't know, man.
No.
I don't know. I cap out at I cap out at 9, so I don't think I could get anything.
You could do more.
I don't know.
You just go. You just do 9 and go. You can't even. You're like, I could do 10, but whatever. I don't want.
It's like, yeah, it's like immediately after the 9th one, I'll just be like, this is stupid, and just like walk away.
Why bother doing 10? Screw it. I'm hungry.
Yeah. All right.
What about you, Layna? How many push-ups?
Probably about maybe. If I tried really hard, maybe about 3.
Yeah, that's good effort.
No, you could do girly style push-ups. We'll say you can do girly, like
Doesn't count.
Those totally count. Those will count for you. I bet you
Because
could do
I'm a girl?
25 girl. No, because you can only do 3 properly. So if you can do 3 properly, let's go ahead and let's scale it for you a little bit because we want to get you as many numbers. It's about numbers. So let's get you as many push-ups as possible. So go ahead, put your knees down, and they say it's girly style, but we're going to call it scaled. We're going to scale the push-up for you. I bet you could do 25 scaled.
Huh.
See, that's Josh's art director techniques. Like,
Totally. That totally came in.
this is like for everybody that's listening. That's how he gets it done.
That totally just happened. Yep.
We're just gonna do it. We're just gonna get the job done. You know, we're gonna scale it to your ability, and you're gonna do it, and you're gonna do great. We all believe in you, Lena.
Wow, I think I would do push-ups now.
Dude,
that feels
get on it.
amazing.
Get on it. You know?
Fail safe
It's-
environment.
It's safe to
I
fail.
feel like doing some push-ups now. It's weird.
This is a safe to fail environment, Lena. Even if you can't do 25, you know what I mean? You pushed your limit. If you could do more than 3, you won. You're a success in my book.
Lena didn't hear that because she just took her headphones off. But it was a good thing. But it seems weird because she was just like, no comment. No
And
comment.
My headphones died. I'm sorry, what happened?
I just said if you do more than 3, if you scale it and do more than 3, you already won. You don't even have to hit 25. You already overshot your goal. So good job.
I'm going to try to do 4.
Dude, hell
I can do
yes. Hell yes.
I can do
go
it.
for
You inspired me.
Dude, push,
Yeah,
reach for the sky. Reach for the sky, Lena. You can do it.
I think I would cap out at like 5 right now. Seriously.
Oh, yeah, we're totally unfit.
Yeah, dude. Seriously unfit. No joke.
You could do 10, dude.
I've
I've examined
I mean,
your body, John. I mean, not that came out wrong.
I wasn't gonna go there, but
I've seen you. I've checked you out. You've got upper body strength, bro. I know you can do 10. I know you can at least do 10. Don't sell yourself short.
yeah, maybe with some motivation.
Yeah, you get motivated. Dang it, dude. Now I want to like work out with you guys.
Let's
Oh,
yeah. That's
Next time.
Yeah, if that will be episode 12. We wait 10 months. And we all meet up, and then we all work out together.
We're going to be on location in New Zealand, and we'll go and work out. It'll be epic.
Yep.
I still want to come. I'm still. Me and my wife are still planning a Fiji New Zealand trip, dude. So.
dude, please, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, dude.
Yeah, you should come to Fiji with us. I speak Fijian. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, I speak Fijian. So if you come with me to Fiji, I'll be your tour guide.
Oh
That's
shit.
beautiful, actually.
That's only like a 3-hour flight from here. Yeah.
Heck yeah, dude. Let's do it. All right. well, then Gavin should show up too.
No, you guys just go do your own thing.
No, Gavin.
No.
Gavin, no, please, come on. Don't be like that. Come on.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Fine, don't come.
Fuck you. Whatever. Okay.
All right, dudes. Dude, oh my gosh, did we talk for like 4 hours?
Almost, yeah, man.
Jeez.
It felt like an hour. It didn't feel like much.
Man. I feel like we're such kindred spirits. We could just talk forever.
Forever.
I know. At GDC, we were in Mel's Diner till like 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Dude,
Oh, I
seriously.
miss that place. We should eat in there.
I know, dude. You guys got to get over here more often, man. Like, it's always fun. It's always fun to get together at GDC. Like, I question. Sometimes I question the value of it sometimes, but as far as like reconnecting with buddies, it's like the best.
Oh yeah, I think like the conference itself is fairly useless. Like in terms of like info that you're gonna get out of like talks and stuff, but dude, like meeting up with people is really amazing. It's like this soul recharge. Like once you get to talk with like friends that you haven't seen in like a year or 2 years, that's great.
Totally.
Yeah, like a family reunion.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, yeah. I mean, just in case for the last little bit of info, just for anybody that doesn't know, Lena and I we spent the last 2 weeks in LA, and we met up with a bunch of people who we hadn't kind of seen for years. And Gavin was one of them. I don't think we'd. When was the last time? It was like GDC 2013 or some shit, right?
Oh yeah, it was like 5 or 6 years ago.
Dude, fuck. but it was like we just like carried right on where we left off.
Dude,
Oh,
it was
yeah.
weird. It was like I'd never met Gavin before, but it felt like totally natural. Like I'd seen him the other day, kind of thing. And Holly too. Holly's so cool, man.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's all right.
Oh yeah, I guess.
Yeah, whatever.
All right, dudes. It's
All right.
9 o'clock my time here.
All right.
Cool.
So
All right,
I'm
well,
gonna go hang out.
Yeah, it's
This
great
has been
talking to you.
lovely. This
Yeah.
has been so
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, that was good. That was awesome.
All right.
Welcome back,
Yeah.
everybody.
Hopefully not another 10 months. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Well,
No promises. No promises.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
I'm waiting for Retrogasm Part 2,
Mhm.
right?
It's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna be sweet. And
It's gonna
I'll be right there. I'll be right there to defend my title.
Yes.
Okay.
Awesome.
Come
All
get
right,
it.
guys.
If y'all listening, come get it, suckers. I'm right here. Where you at?
Yeah.
Where you at? You.
All right.
All right, guys.
right.
All right.
All right.
Hey, love you
Take it
guys.
easy.
I'll talk to you
All right.
later.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bye, man.
See yous.
Bye.
Bye.